Good evening, and welcome to Targeted Massachusetts Northeast Conference. My name is Frank Allen, and I will be your host this evening. Tonight, we have a very special guest, Whitney. He's a TI from New York, and we'll be speaking to him very shortly. Okay, Whitney, are you here?
Yes, I am.
Okay, hold on one second.
Can you hear me, Frank?
Yes, sir, I can.
Okay.
Okay, we'll go right to Q&A mode here. And okay, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and when you think this actually started? Okay, I guess he didn't unmute successfully, so I'm going to have to go digging for him. Okay, got him. Okay, when do you think that your targeting actually started? Go ahead, Anthony. I'm not Anthony, pardon me. Whitney.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're coming in 555.
Okay. Yeah, I hit the *6, and then it took me to the other automated service where it said hit number 1, so I wasn't sure if I was coming through or not.
Yep.
Well, clear something up right away is not New York. I'm actually from Allentown, Pennsylvania.
That's correct. That's because I was speaking to somebody directly before I got on the conference call. So that's my error. Made it all the way automatically to the the show update, I think, too. But we'll go from there. But Whitney is from Allentown, Pennsylvania. He's, I think, our first TI that we've had on from Allentown, Pennsylvania. And go right ahead.
You just basically want me to give you a description of my experience or where I'm at right now?
You can start with when you think it began and what were your indications that it started.
Like I said, it was about a half hour south of here in a place called Quakertown, and I lived there for just about 10 years, from 2007 until early 17. And the first things I started noticing were, like I said, it was Memorial Day of 2015. It was late at night, and I just started having some like weird sounds in the room. You know, not voices at first. It was more like music coming from the speakers, but there was nothing on. And then it progressed to like these construction sounds. You look out the front door, and there's nothing in the street. I expected that they would have it blocked off, and there'd be construction work and stuff like that, and nothing. And then it started to get to these kind of crazy, almost like bubbly sounds. I guess it was like ELF looking back now. And then it just eventually progressed to a male and female when I was at work. And it wasn't like the same every day. It would be, maybe it would start after break time. And I worked construction, so I was in a school at the time, doing a brand new school. And then it would start to be at the house. And then about a year and a half later, I started researching this stuff and found out about all these terms and some of the websites. And I'm like, holy shit, there's no mistaking what it could be. You know, you first try to figure it out on your own. I'm sure most people do. You think it's psychological or you're up too late and whatever. But then once you start finding out about the terms and these websites, there's no mistake. You can't mistake it for anything else in the world.
Yeah, most definitely. On with that, you cannot mistake it for anything else. It just happens.
Just about anything all kinds of, crazy stuff that most of the other people that you read blogs by or talk to on these conference calls have. Some different experiences, most the same, but I think the level is going to be more intense for somebody, or what they could get away with if there's various programs. I'm not sure, but there's definitely a difference between if you live with other people or you're by yourself. I know that, and it's which for me. And the jobs, if I'm moving around more as opposed to working in the same room all day, that makes a big difference. And right now, I have problems with law enforcement here and the court systems. They've actually, I made a boneheaded move and went across the street one time, and just to see if they were there after putting it off for, say, 5 months. I'm like, fuck it, looking at her, I'll just go knock on the door and see if it looks like perpetrators. So this woman answers with two, grandkids, and just looked at me. I said, I'm sorry, I got the wrong house. I live over there. If you have any problems, you know where I'm at. And next thing, the cops are knocking at my door, and I got 302. So once that's on your record, that's when it starts getting interesting. And they start calling the police on you, with kind of like false charges sometimes. And it's amazing what they could do with this behavior and prediction type stuff. And just how it can really interfere in your life and get you caught up. And the one thing I found recently is in the room, I don't hear the clicks in the ceiling fan anymore. And I guess that would be like the triangulation of the cell towers, just like your cell phone works. Then you hear those popping and clicking sounds. And it's been almost 2 years since I had that on a regular basis. So I notice it's more like an ambient feel. And the more time I spend in my room, I've been off work for about a month now. I finished the job at Penn State, and I'm in my room a lot more. And I'm starting to get attacked more and hear voices coming from different directions that weren't before. So I think what they did after research, hang on a second. All right, I'm sitting outside. Okay. It's a loud call. Anyway,
I have an audio.
Wait for them to pass.
I have an audio
issue
to take care of. I'll be right back. You can continue. Okay, go ahead.
All right. So the thing I've been trying to get into lately is how they map your environment, and I recently found out something called Zigbee, and I mentioned it to you briefly about a week ago, I think. And it's basically the majority of smart meters, which almost every house has, is the elements inside, the components are by a company called Zigbee, and the great majority of them. And they can be basically hacked. They're 2G, GSM, and they basically can access any appliance in your house. They've erased the factory settings on my television, just extracted them, like the HDM and video 1 and 2 and PC. You can't get rid of those. You just switch between them, and you use your auxiliary inputs like RCA or the HD, the high def. They're gone. I can't even use the TV now. It's an RCA flat screen. They get stuff. They mess with my DVD player all the time. It's not connected to the network. It's just plugged in the wall, and I have an RCA jack coming out for the audio and the visual. And then I read online, I was researching how they can extract anything that's formatted or written on the disk, like a anti-piracy thing. They could extract that info for whatever reasons, and they know exactly what you're watching in the house. And I also read that there was something compromised by this Opera Mini and the Zigbee, and that is exactly what I had on a Casio Ravine 2 through Verizon flip phone in 2014 when my phone was starting to get hacked. There would be on long conversations, and I would hear girls giggling in the background and stuff like that. And progressively things got worse, spam stuff on their phone and whatnot. And I think what they were doing was either the smart meter and then to the phone, they were able to pick you up that way. Read your signature somehow is kind of what I'm thinking, if there's a way to do that. But my most recent research has been on trying to figure out and control what you can at your house where you spend the most time. So if they are hacking the smart meters, I don't think it's, there's Muslim terrorists, and I don't think that there's all these hackers. I think it's private security, and they're using the Chinese and Russians and all this stuff to cover it up. Not that it's impossible, but I think they're just basically smoke screens or, to cover up their actions, because the United States could never be the bad guys,
Well, that's right. That's exactly right.
You got to be, America, fuck yeah, just like that movie with South Park guys.
Okay,
we could never be the torturers.
I have to tell everyone, along with yourself, this. I've been dumped off of YouTube because of the F word, and they are.
I'm sorry, man.
Seriously down on us for any kind of language, or, if we drop a dime the wrong way, they're on us. So go ahead.
Well, you don't want to be ratting anybody out, but I'll watch that. Be self-conscious of that next time. That's basically where I'm at now, is trying to figure out all the evidence I have, and it's mostly stuff that has happened to me, like losing my license. On the way to I met you down with Richard Lighthouse at the Copper Canyon Grill in Silver Springs, Maryland. Remember, on October 22nd and 19th?
I remember that.
And you guys were the first TIs I ever met in person. So the whole ride down there, I was getting attacked, and I didn't even make it to any of the rallies. I was driving around, calling back on my flip phone to my roommate and saying, "Can you tell me where they're at now, like the itinerary?" And she said they're here, and I would drive there, and you guys weren't there. So I don't know if I was ahead or behind, but I was able to finally meet up with you guys at the end at that bar, and ever since I've had at least a couple, you guys' phone numbers and these conference calls to go to. And I'm just looking to get extremely proactive.
Well, you can do that with us, because...
Yes, but go ahead.
We do a lot, and we're looking for people to be proactive, to become activists in their own right, and join us, and together we will fight.
Yeah, it's just regardless of this whole COVID thing, which I believe is related to what we're going through. It's all big, paradigm shift to surveillance capitalism. But I really would like to do stuff in person, rallies and anything, as opposed to just over the phone and the internet, which I have a lot of trouble with on the computer. But a lot more in-person stuff is what I'm looking for. And I just met somebody on Saturday. Janie referred me to him, and he's from the next city over. He just moved here recently, and he's having a lot of issues with this stuff. So hopefully we'll be able to get something like a Pennsylvania chapter, or at least local in this area, and start getting something done here.
Okay, we have a question for you from Fiona.
Okay.
Go ahead, Fiona.
Just wondering what specific activism you've tried.
Writing senators, representatives, going to their office in person, and you usually end up with their secretary, and you try to obviously keep it as professional and to the point as you can without getting too personal or using a lot of crazy language. But I've done that. I've done like TI Day here. Just went up in the center city, so that there's a monument up there, like a Civil War monument, and stood there with signs for a couple hours in the afternoon. Passing flyers out in the area, just anywhere I go, stuff like that, these conference calls, and I just don't feel like I'm doing anywhere near enough. So I'm constantly trying to find stuff. So if anybody has anything that you could get me involved with that I could do. The internet's my weakness, though.
Okay, Fiona.
I have the same question. I feel the same. I'm not quite sure what else I can do.
Okay, you have to contact group leaders in your area. And if you don't have a group leader in your area, you're going to have to become one. And
Exactly, and that's what I needed assistance with that. You know, you guys have something established. You can give me any pointers how to get started. I'd be more than glad to do that.
sure, between Ella and myself, Ella Free, we will definitely help you come up with some people in your area, where they are, their email addresses, and whatnot. I'll relay Ella.
I did get a list about 6 months ago, and the person I got it from lives out in near Pittsburgh, and she told me the list was quite a few years old. But I went down it anyway, and it had probably at least 50 numbers from Pennsylvania, and most of them I left messages on. A lot of them were disconnected, and I think only 2 answered, and the one guy wanted nothing to do with this anymore, and the other person, it was a different number. So that's
TIs
not
go,
given.
TIs go through cell phones very rapidly, normally.
I was one of them.
Yeah, a lot of times they'll have a throwaway. It just seems to be that their phones are not left alone. Okay, we have another question for you from Stephen. Go ahead, Stephen.
Hey, did you actually meet with any elected officials at any level in person that you thought took what you said seriously?
I did not. I have not. That recent Havana, the one that's on change.org right now that I'm sure you guys are aware of, I finally got to sign that over the weekend. That's one of the best things I think we have going right now. And the way it's phrased, you know, with the embassy workers is perfect, because if they did that to enough people, you know, one household here or an entire block or an apartment building, you'd have the same results. But they do it so that we're demographically split up, and it's just dismissed as mental illness, of course. And
of course, yeah.
It's just bullshit, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, well, my experience is when I write the elected folks, I get in deeper trouble. I mean,
really?
I can write a letter to the editor. Yeah, I can write a letter to the editor. I can put a sign up in front of the house or something. I can, you know, get a microphone and say what I want to say, and that's fine. But the minute I write an elected leader, boy, they go out of their way to protect them, and it's almost like they don't want to put the elected leaders in a position to even address what we have to say. Yeah, the noise in my head went up when I wrote my local congressman.
Did any of you guys hear of a guy named William H. Starrett? He has a book out called The Letter to the Texas Governor, and he claims that he apparently is kind of like not on the same level as Robert Duncan, but apparently he has worked for like developing software for some kind of companies that's, he calls it UX, like unconventional warfare exercises. And he claims that his perpetrators specifically told him they were from Lockheed Martin. They were using his like N3, you know, non-invasive neuromodulation, non-surgical, to use his ideas and stuff like that. And he got a lawyer. And I couldn't find the name of the lawyer, but he basically, in his book, he shows how to write properly, you know, the pages, how to print them out and send them to these people so that it's at least professional looking.
Well, the Lockheed Martin, I'm surprised they admitted they're from Lockheed Martin, because that rings true, you know, to me, from what I've read.
This wasn't that long ago. This is only 2016, so this book takes place during the summer of 2016, and I was, you know, going through that stuff at that time.
Yeah,
I didn't find out about it in any of these terms that we use, and you know, for our situation and whatnot, and or any of these websites like, you know, Bye Bye Blue Sky and stuff like that, until August or September of 2017. So it was like a year and a half later. I was just trying to figure it out on my own. Wouldn't tell anybody.
Yeah, well, my targeting started in August 2014.
Okay.
Getting hit with frequencies, yeah.
What state are you in?
Columbus, Ohio. Okay. Unfortunately, I live I live like 3 football fields away from a big cell tower, unfortunately.
I have 5 of them within a mile of my house, and the furthest one is a mile away. There's one at the old, if you ever heard of Mack Trucks, the world headquarters, I live about a half mile from there. Half a mile away. So it's a health network now for this big complex of health networks that's near. So they got one there. There's 2 of them that are only maybe 300 feet apart, like a football field, in the shopping center a mile away. And then there's one over by this garbage company on their property, and then there's one a mile and a half where a cable company and the police are right next door to each other. They have 5
well,
of them.
It's almost at the point. It's almost at the point where you can't live anywhere where they're not. You know.
Yeah, I'm getting the
unless you live in the middle of, if you live in the Rocky Mountains, even they probably have them.
I've been to West Virginia to try to get away with this, so like Frank has too. And I drove all over. I was at Green Bank at the telescope place. I was expecting miracles, but it wasn't as bad as here. But the whole time, you could hear them. I was in the mountains and all over the state with my roommate driving around trying to find dead zones and stuff. And we stayed for 2 days and 2 nights. Slept in the car, and it was just constantly hitting. I guess it was like my car used to. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say I get hit hard in an airplane too, so that tells me, the satellites are involved.
Yeah, I just read something. I think it was 2 days ago. Somebody had something on the internet about they got hit on a plane going to another country. They were going to
nonstop. Well, yeah, they got thousands of satellites. Whatever, no matter how many they say, there's more than what they admit to. And plus one satellite.
The one thing I have done is lots of trying to figure stuff out on my own, like build devices. I would call them disconnection chambers, and I tried like oil. I tried like the oil drums with linoleum floor inside, sealed, and I tried like that didn't work. So I tried I'm not sure what the material was.
Sleep in it? You tried to sleep in it? You mean lay down and sleep in it?
No, standing up. I tried to get it sealed perfectly, and I sanded the paint off so it's down to the shiny steel, and I had it out, I thought more reflective. I tried it also grounded. I even tried, I'm actually an electrician, and I'm in the IBW, which could possibly help us in the long run. Because if I could get through to some of our officers at the international office, which is also in D.C., I mean, we're a big outfit, the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. So we actually had the job at Death Star in Utah, where Echelon, our IBW actually did all that work out there, and it'd be nice. There's over 1 million members, and there's some companies or factories and places like that also have members in the IBW. There's got to be other TIs, writing into these papers or on the websites and stuff. It's like you cut the power.
Yeah, it's I don't know how many TIs there actually is in the world or in America, to be honest with you.
Millions.
I don't even try to think about it because anything you read, you can't necessarily take it as truth. Just imagine. I haven't met any in my area. And I've passed out flyers and have signs and stuff like that. Like I put on shirts like surveillance issues. I made my own, shirt and stuff like that. And it's amazing. Yeah. I finally.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I sometimes think sending key documents to key people around the country, like key college professors or key researchers or key law professors or there's people that have to do with human rights and civil rights and things like that in the government. Now, whether they're part of the problem or part of the solution, I don't know.
I think, if you talk, I've done a lot of that too, and I still do it. I have, what I did was I took an old cassette recorder with blank tapes and would record each side and date it and time it. And the reason I did that was so it wouldn't be on a phone with apps and it would be in the cloud. I would own it, I would do it on speakerphone. And I have like Jeff Alstat and Brad Blakesley from DARPA. I went on the internet and found their website and it has a whole directory. And I called a couple of those guys and I have them recorded saying they know nothing about remote neural monitoring or anything. I have,
Oh, they're DARPA employees? They're DARPA employees?
Yeah, and after I called a bunch of them, if you go on the website now, they have all different numbers. So I don't know if that's because I called or what. Yeah. I've also been to Lehigh University, and there's these things called pilot programs, and there's like $11 million in the state of Pennsylvania on the one website, and it's like the Department of Energy or Science, and it has to do with DHS. And if you know about CISCA, am I saying right? The communications, and they have 16 different infrastructures like transportation, and the way the neurology is all fitting into this, neuroscience is big. And the one person that I think we should, I'm trying to get to is her name's Shoshana Zuboff. I think that's how you say her last name. She wrote a book called The Age of Surveillance Capitalism, and she's at the Berkman Center at Harvard. Yeah. And she's got to be in her 60s now. And she talks about all this stuff, behavior modification, and she doesn't really go into target individuals, but she talks about all the stuff that's headed up and where we're heading, and she's, against it. If we could get to her and say, you look at like Microsoft and Lucid and stuff like that and how it is using the terms like anomaly and the way that all these things are, nodes and how they're working on the computer in real time as behavior modification and stuff like that, interacting with the user, that's the same thing they're doing with us, but this is much more advanced and much more sinister, Yeah. Yeah. What they're doing in the book it mentions something called an aware home, I guess Google had, where you wear devices and the people can control all their data and stuff. But that's what they're doing with us when they map, your electronics and your smart meter and all that stuff. It's not for energy efficiency or, they could shut it off remotely.
I've heard technical people, I think even Robert Duncan said there is no escape. That's kind of pretty negative.
You know what, it doesn't stop me from, I don't think negative at all. I think it's impossible I could never imagine being stuck in this forever and not
trying to do something about it. Yeah.
It's impossible to think about suicide or giving up. This just changes your life. You can't just try to ignore it and pretend it's not there or anything like that. That doesn't even cross my mind. Yeah. There's got to be a way. And I have heard about him, not say it himself, but I've heard that, if there was a way, he would tell us. And that is a little crazy.
Yeah.
But I found another video on YouTube that I was watching this morning. There was another guy. I think his name was Jeffrey Shaler. Or no, he was a psychiatrist. There was another guy. I'm sorry, I can't remember what it was right now. I'm just gonna stop talking about it. I'll look it up. I'll get it later. I have it written down.
Well, years ago, my psychiatrist at the VA hospital, he said, "Don't worry, you're not targeted. You have to threaten somebody to be targeted." And then a few days later, when I talked to him, he said, "I'm not sure I ever heard the term targeted individual." So he was running scared. After I told him my experience, he changed he right there in front of me, he changed his tune. One day he said, "Oh, you have to threaten somebody to be a targeted individual." And a few days later, he said, I haven't heard that term before. We talked on the phone, but that was that was a wake-up call for me. No, I'm not a threat, but the information I had was threatening. My research was threatening.
And if they create enemies this way, just like the police, Jesus needs Satan, or they need that light and dark hemisphere. So if you're not a threat beforehand, you're definitely going to keep researching and meeting to other people and talking about it, so they're going to create a threat. And it's just, what my analogy is if you get rid of an ember, you can't have a fire. So even though, like, people would laugh if you said we're leaders, or we have like they're trying to squash dissent. But it's like, think about this: if you got one asshole in a crowd of people that's willing to do something, like walk out or say something and speak up, that's all it takes, because other people are going to be listening or watching and say, you know what, I was thinking that too. But they're waiting for somebody to always go first. And if you get rid of the people that are always willing to go first, even if they're not expecting someone to follow, that gets that idea out of their head. So you get rid of all the embers, there's a less chance of a fire in the future. And then these programs or computers can be modifying, easier targets in the future. If they get us out of the way first, it'll be easier. Right?
One thing I've noticed over the years is if somebody's getting ready to testify or getting ready to have a press conference, don't announce it, because you'll have a car accident on the way to the press conference. You'll have a car accident on the way to testify. You'll shoot yourself accidentally on the way to testify. So, don't publicize it. Just go to the microphone and talk, kind of thing. If somebody's in power thinking of getting the message out, don't announce it. Just announce it. I mean, don't announce that you're going to announce it. Just get to the microphone and say what you got to say before they have a chance to make you have an accident. If you're a congressman and you decide to speak truth to power, don't announce that you're going to announce something. Just do it. Otherwise, it's never going to see the light of day.
That's actually a really good point. Because even if the perpetrators, so to say, know everything we're doing through the monitoring, other people won't. So if you don't advertise it and just get out, that is a good point.
Well, you can point to people who died that were on their way to testify for different things over the years. Car wrecks, plane crashes, they're not coincidences.
You have any examples of?
People that had something to do with the Kennedy assassination, I believe, were right off the top of my head. It's hard to come up with a name, but the guy on the Warren Commission who questioned the Warren Commission whose plane crashed in Alaska, and different people who were scheduled to testify against the mob in Congress had an accident before they could testify, like the day before. There's all kinds of examples. You'd probably have to look it up on the internet, but I'm sure there's I suspect all kinds of things, like Peter Jennings. I'm not sure they didn't give him cancer for different reasons. Of course, Jack Ruby, the guy that killed Oswald, I think they probably gave him cancer. There's just all kinds of the congressman from New Mexico who wanted to reopen the Roswell thing. I think they killed him with cancer or something. If you look hard enough, there's all kinds of examples. Somebody might have got a list together. I know somebody put a list together regarding the Kennedy assassination witnesses who had untimely accidents before they were going to talk. Dorothy Kilgallen, she was killed, and she was looking into the Kennedy killing.
Okay, Stephen, we need to move on. Did that answer?
Yes, sir. Oh, yes, sir. Yeah.
Get in line. Stephen, I encourage you to get in line again, because
Thank you.
Valuable information.
Oh, thank you. I'll try to be more specific next time. Thanks.
And I can't stress enough, any kind of language, we get trashed. And Gertrude just said from the chat that it's not your language, but I've taken out the F word in a couple of videos, and the videos have gone up. So it is the language. So our next question is from Kevin. Go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, I'm from Pennsylvania as well. My name's Kevin, and I've reached out to Congress people and senators, and they replied back to you, but after their first reply back to you, you never hear anything back from them again. So it's kind of like that they're just trying to fake an attempt to respond to you and kind of break down the communication. So they will reply back, but after their initial reply, they don't do anything at all. I mean, they just disappear, and you can call them over and over and over again, and you won't get any response at all. And this is just like something that I've been going through with any kind of contact to governors or Congress people or your state representatives or whoever it is. The communication just gets broken down. Some of them, they will attempt to reach out to you. I think it's like an act of, hey, we got to do something, but we're not going to really respond to them. So they respond to you back, but then you never get any help, and you can't like have an open dialogue going back and forth, with these people inside of Pennsylvania. And who's the gentleman that was on the call like a little bit ago from Allentown? Is he still there?
That's me. My name's Whitney.
Did I pick you up and drive you somewhere in Allentown, or?
I was just thinking. I'm like, I recognize the voice. Are you're the guy from Lansdale?
That's me. Yeah, I've met you before.
Yeah, I haven't had a phone for a couple months. My number changed, and I haven't had one. I just got this my new number. So, how you doing, man?
Getting hit pretty hard. A lot of crazy stuff going on, but I know it's not me, and I struggle getting through each day, but I pray to God, and that's all I can do right now is just take it one day at a time. I'm definitely not this same individual that you probably remember me as when I picked you up. When I picked you up and we're going to a rally. They've dialed up a lot of different tactics, I guess you would say. I went through hyperacusis, which is just like everything, which I'm still going through it right now. Like everything is like extremely loud. And then they've been messing with my vision as well. Everybody's driving around, and every single light on their vehicle is just like, I don't know how to put it. It's like blinding. So driving for me right now is probably not a good thing. So on top of that, they've also kind of tossed in motion sickness and nausea. I'm finally through being put through induced vomiting. Like they would just make me throw up. Anything I ever ate, they would just like make me throw up. And that was like going on for probably about a year and a half. And it's finally like kind of slowed down. Acid reflux. That's also slowed down. But the way this program works is they give you symptoms and then they take them away and they give you new symptoms. Hello?
Did your question get answered? You're welcome to get in line again if you'd like to speak.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I was just replying to my fellow TI here. All right.
Oh,
Go ahead. Go ahead. You guys can move on. That's fine. All right, bye.
All right. I will, Kevin, why don't you give me, I see your new number, or actually, Whitney, I see your new number here. If you'd like
Yeah,
me.
if you could,
Okay.
if you want to send them that through an email or a...
Okay, we'll do. All right. Lakeland, Florida.
Hi, I'm Donna from Florida.
How you doing?
I wanted to ask you, did you ever look into PreCrime and what's affiliated with it, and connected it all to your own situation?
Yeah. Recently I found something called Geopedia. There's supposedly an outfit in Ohio, and it's basically third parties and how I guess a lot of local police, I think it's big in Florida and California and some other states are like really doing it. Everyone's trying to find a way to get in on third parties and put together a profile of people and basically make you a criminal. And I think that whole, I think whoever's doing this to us, you know, whatever level they're on, if it's private security or if they're, you know, global, who knows, there's all kinds of FISA courts. If any of us knew for certain, I think it'd be easier. But
I actually caught mine. I actually caught mine red-handed. Really, I did. I have a lot of proof. I have a lot of paper proof. It was my roommate's son-in-law was a lieutenant at the local sheriff's office, and I got them real mad, and so the wife exposed. And they were texting on my phone, over my texting. They went straight to my email. And then I have the GPS that was put on my car. I have the box and the receipt. It was bought by the neighbor across the hall. I also have the false background check with the number on it that says the number that's filed with the court. It states that it's forced illegal entry, which is a felony. And it was distributed to all of my neighbors. I have that in writing. I printed it all out. I also have a false police report that was done by my manager here and a girl next door. I was delivering court documents, and they lied right on the paper and called my court documents a personal letter, malicious, vicious, tried to turn it into arson. And there was no fire. There was nothing. So I put a lot of pressure on the chief and the mayor and the DOJ, and I just pushed, and of course they let the officer go, and also the lieutenant and his brother got fired from their jobs because they got caught doing some pretty nasty illegal stuff, and I knew about it. And so all of a sudden I got hit for the 10th time in my back right at the surgery by a neighbor, and I connected the dots. And then I had a gang stalker who went wild, and you know, I got it on recording. It's in the state attorney's right now, but they can't catch this guy because if he comes forward, it would blow it all up real bad. But I do have it in writing, and I have it in text and in you know, verbal, and I stored it all. And the state attorneys, you know, yeah, but they're not going to pull the guy to court because it'll blow it all out. But I do have it. I have it all. They were involved. Mm-hmm.
When you say blow it up, you mean it would basically expose the program for everyone that's going through this?
Yeah, I do have it verbal. I do have it in writing. I do have it stored. The state attorney's office knows all about it, and they know they have a copy, and the whole thing. The guy, they kept it low ball. They vandalized my car 43 times. This guy, he got caught on video twice. Somebody else caught him. And so he came forward and talked about the cops and the neighbors and who was involved and how they maliciously wanted him. I was this bad person. They put this picture out there, and I have it in writing, of course. I'm a criminal and everything else. And so when I read PreCrime, I really connected the dots. And see, here in Florida, there's a very interesting article you must read because the neighbors, the community, have all gotten together and is suing Pasco Sheriff right now. It's an article. It says Tampa Bay Times. and it says Pasco Sheriff creates futuristic program to stop crime. And now they have a whole list, and these are younger people because they get them younger and younger now. And these are all younger people who and they're circled, everyone they knew, and you read each one of them and how they were harassed and everything. And so they have lawyers and they have the college organizations and whatnot that are helping them right now. And so you see that's just one county, though. But, we're hoping for something here, But the first time I read PreCrime, and I brought this to Ella's attention, and she said I was disinformation. But the fact is, I didn't know what was going on for 25 years. I didn't know what was going on. All I know is I got my first apartment in Florida. I escaped my situation. I get an apartment, and I walk in, and I find a guy with wire all over my kitchen table who climbed through the attic vent. Okay? Now they put it down as a burglary, but he didn't steal nothing. There's nothing there to steal. But I go all the way back to I'm probably one of the most victimized people you can imagine. I mean, Frank knows me, This so-called TI stole my car, my fourth one stolen, But the point that I'm trying to say is a lot of people need to look into the PreCrime program.
I wouldn't disagree with you on that, and I have a lot in common with you that maybe would be better to talk outside of here. When I was talking a little earlier about having evidence, mine does have a lot to do with the local police, but I didn't necessarily take it as the predictive policing aspect of it because I don't know that much about it, and I just recently started looking into it. But basically, all the problems I'm having right now are because of dealing with the police and the hospital around here. I've been in 3 times.
Yeah.
And what happened was I turned down blood work. They wanted to get me on a DUI. And whoever's doing this to me called them a half hour later in the next city over and had false charges. None of them happened. So I found out this guy has a fictional address, which is on file about a mile from here, right in Center City. It has the address. His name, if you look him up on the internet, I'm not going to say it over here, but he does all these Middle Eastern kind of videos and stuff to make it look like he's I'm guessing like a terrorist type thing, a red herring. And I don't know if this guy actually exists that supposedly called in claiming I was banging on his window and I was drunk, and the cops showed up. I was outside the car. They never got me driving. And I was waiting for my dad because it was snowing, and I slid into a pole and damaged the front end of my car. I was going to tie it up, and he was going to follow me home. And I was never charged with a DUI, and they kept extending it. They wouldn't give me a trial. And eventually the cops kind of kept getting me for different stuff, like the tinted windows, and they took my license, so I was driving suspended and whatnot. It's basically, it's like all fabricated stuff. And they had said there was a mix-up with the blood work. The last time I went to the hospital, they smashed my face in the street, and I was bleeding, so they gave me a CT scan, and then they took my blood without a warrant. So I have a case manager right now, and we're basically trying to figure out how to go through the hospital and the police and, do something about this at all. And if I could talk to you more like outside of this conference call, and I could actually show you the information I have. It's all records. Some of it's on the internet. And I had to take a plea bargain and stuff just to get out of prison for 17 days because I was getting hit so bad with the Wi-Fi in there. And the COVID, we were in quarantine, so you couldn't even get out. And I had to get out of there, or I would be in there 6 months, getting fried.
Yeah.
But there's another mystery. The first time I got out of a 302, I was dumb. I went to the hospital. The cop asked me, would you like to see a psychiatrist? They're on call 24/7. I said, yeah, can you give me like an assessment and prove I'm not, insane, and you'll look into what I'm talking about? He's like, absolutely. And I was stupid to go along with it, and next thing you know, I was in there 11 days. And as soon as I got out, I got a call from a police officer from my previous address, a half hour south of here. Never even met him before. And He goes, left me a message, so I called him back. He's like, yeah, I just wanted to know what was up. Somebody told me you sent out like a text message, and we just wanted to make sure you weren't a threat to yourself. I'm like, how did you get this? How do you know anything about it? He goes, you know, somebody came in and showed it to me. I never sent anything to anybody that would have ended up with the police. So
yeah, I would always go eat over my boyfriend's house when I got off of work, and you know, I was probably never home. I was always over at his house at dinner time. You know, you get home from work, and my best friend in New York lost her son, and she was tragic. She lost my number. She didn't know where I was. I had moved, and I asked her. I said she got a hold of me, and she called the sheriff's office from New York, you know, to get a hold of me. And I asked her, I said, how long did it take for the sheriff's office to find out where I was? I mean, you know, she said, oh, it was less than 5 minutes. I was like, what? Now, see, back then I didn't know what was going on. I thought to myself, how did they know where I was? I'm not a criminal. How did they know where I was? Like, that's off the wall. So there was a lot. I'm digging up all of my paperwork for 25 years here in Florida. I could even go back before that. But I'm digging up all my paperwork. They don't want to give it to me. They're fighting me every step of the way. They don't want to give me this because it proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that everywhere I lived, that I had, for 8 years, I had a neighbor that banged on my walls every single night, would stand outside with a cowbell and harass everybody that came and went from my house. The whole neighborhood knew about it. So, you know, it's just like, come on, you know, everywhere. I've been hit 10 times by speeding cars. 10 times. No joke. I mean, I'm talking 65-mile-an-hour hits, some of them. I'm all busted up, you know. But I've been diagnosed with cancer 9 times by doctors. I have the MRIs I could show you. I never had cancer. I was admitted in the hospital in 2009. I was a single mom at the time, and I had to get back to work. That's all I cared about. And they're like, oh, well, you know, your MRI says cancer, Dr. Chan, you know, and they play good cop, bad cop doctors, you know. No, we can't do this. Okay, well, we'll have to put her in the hospital. So I go in the hospital. I'm going to get a biopsy. I want you to get this, a biopsy. They ended up gutting me like a cow. I'm in the hospital for a week. She comes in. She's acting all weird. Oh, no cancer. Oh, wonderful. I can go back to work. A week later, I go back to work, right? Don't know nothing. 2013, I have number 9 accident, and I'm in the ER, okay? And I know a lot about medical because I went to college, right? So anyhow, I look at the X-ray, and I'm this young girl. She's there doing she's doing a sono, and I look at the thing, and I'm like, and I'm looking at the X-ray, and I'm like, what the heck is that? Linear metallic density overlapping the abdomen, no spleen. My operative report says biopsy. I'm like, what the heck? I had a follow-up PET scan. It said my spleen was surgically resection and removed. Linear metallic density, if you Google it, it is known as gold threading in Korea and China, where Dr. Chan went right back to her after she was done. Yeah. So I'm like, what the heck is this? It's internal acupuncture. They just announced it here in America this last December. It's internal acupuncture. I'm serious. I swear this was real. I have the documents.
So they're basically trying to get you to go on disability, or is that what you think?
Oh, well, I had to eventually. I mean, I could have got it when I was 40. They hit me. I had no discs in my neck and stuff. And I still went back to work, and they hit me again and again. And so the last so many accidents started looking real suspicious. The last one, absolutely beyond a shadow of a doubt. I just got my neck surgery. The neighbor offered to take me to the store. I went to the store, got out. I took about, I'd say about 6 or 8 steps, and the guy nailed his car in reverse as hard as he couldn't hit me in the back. I had a walker with all my groceries, because I couldn't still drive. I just got my neck brace off from my neck surgery. And then the number 9, I just got out of surgery with my hand. I had a cast on. I was just leaving surgery. We got hit 65 head on. I'm not kidding, really. These are, and the one before that, I could go on and on. So it started to look real you know.
You're saying these
Yeah.
were most, like, staged accidents that, you know, happen on purpose.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm not crazy. Yeah. I had the number 7. I got hit on an open 3 lanes. Just us and the car that came around the corner on 2 wheels. Admitted he was speeding over 65. Judge let him go. Hit us in the rear of the car. And I mean, who does that? You got actually there was 4 open lanes if you include the turn lane. And he clipped us right. I was a passenger. Clipped us right in the corner. And then the one after that, I did a 1.5 year of traction. I decided I was going to go back to school and work. I didn't care. I started feeling better. And I needed surgery. There's no doubt. They put me in disability 100% if I didn't, get the neck surgery. But I did a 1.5 year of traction. I started to come out of it, and I went back to school and work. It wasn't even 5 months later. I'm on a 2-lane road. We're sitting at a stop sign. Lady hits me 65 in the rear of my little Kia. 65. They couldn't even get me out of the car.
Okay, lady.
But this just kept going. Sorry.
Did that answer your question? Or do you have any more?
Yes. Yes, definitely.
Okay, Whitney, that ends the questions for right now. I'm sure you'll have some more, but we can go into some of your experiences if you like.
Well, I could actually go off on what she was talking about with the accidents.
Okay.
It was there was one that I had a guy cut me off that definitely was kind of out of nowhere, and I had read about this, but I kind of put a lot of that stuff off. Like, I don't have community stalking. Mine's all electronic. I've had them convince me earlier on that they were in houses in the neighborhood and whatnot, and I just didn't listen to it until finally I figured, what can it hurt to just try to check it out. But I kind of got over that part of it. But as far as the accidents, I read some other instances, people having that and claiming that they're staged, car crashes. And looking back, it was in the summer of 2016. I was on the way home from work, about 1.5 miles from my house, and this is not where I live now. This is Quakertown I was telling you about. Hang on, I'm actually coming out of the house right now, and I'm getting hit. I'm having a hard time kind of having my breath. Give me a second here. I have to go back outside. And of course I'm on a cell phone, which isn't good. But they basically just put me to sleep, and it was 2 lanes on the highway to stop traffic. And out of nowhere, felt like I was coming down about to, go to sleep. And just like that, I wake up and I'm heading towards the back of the stop traffic, and I clipped the back of a guy's pickup truck, the bumper, and I must have been doing probably about 35, 40 after I slammed on my brakes. Luckily, it wasn't that much damage, and we settled out, just exchanged insurance cards. But I can't prove it, and this is before I knew the terms and looked all this stuff up. But this is after I already had, the weird experiences, like hearing the music and the voices and stuff started already. It was about 1 year later. So looking back, that could have been what they were doing. As far as other experiences, there's tons of them.
We all.
I mean, it goes on. It never ends. It's not 24/7. It's 60/60. For me, they get me with the V2K is my vulnerable point. That's what they go after me the most, because that's what seems to get my attention, and I have a hard time dealing with. I constantly, try different stuff, and I always kind of somehow wind up talking to them, or they get the best of me that way.
Yeah, the best thing to do is not talk to them, obviously, but if you have to talk to them, you have to talk to them. Sometimes I get upset, we'll call it, and I have a swearing match with them back and forth. But, you know,
exactly.
Yeah, that you get aggravated after a while. Now, when go ahead.
Go. No, you go ahead.
When you're in your car, you're a captive audience. You know, they usually get in the back somewhere, and that's where they are. They talk from there. And I throw Dave Case's CD, and I turn it up to 50 or 55, and bake them with it. And they don't like that. But yeah, there's a lot of different instances that you can come up with. And you have another question from New York. Go ahead, New York.
Hi, this is Anthony from Manorville out in Suffolk County, exit 69 off the expressway. How's everyone doing?
We're
good. How you doing? About as good as you can.
Hi, man. Yeah, I've been at Target now for 20 years, and my question is, we have a thing going on in Suffolk County where we spoke before the county legislator, and there was they introduced a police reinvention for the police reinvention thing, and we were very effective. We had 4 or 5 TIs speak from New York City and 4 from out in Suffolk County, and they said we were very effective. And one of the legislators, Leslie Kennedy, gave me a thumbs up when I was speaking because she's familiar with the gang stalking because she's a member of my group that I started on Facebook. But you know, being we were so effective with 600 plus members, they hacked my group, and they always had hacking stuff, but they took control of the group from me. They put someone in as administrator, and I'm in the process of getting it back. You know, and you know, so I'm also going to set up a website too to coordinate with that, with a link for that. And we're not going to give up, man. You know, they increased the harassment tenfold since we spoke to the legislator. I think they're desperate and afraid right now. I've noticed the stalkers, and when I go to the bar or something, they're more aggressive. And I go about covertly harassing them, and I'm trying to get them to act out so other people witness it, and they, oh, this guy's out of line, not me, you know. So I want them to appear sane and calm, and you know, stuff like that. So that's how I go about it, you know. Basically, going through a day to day. I feel this is the most way it can help me survive the day, you know. So, yeah.
Do you actually?
I'm sorry.
Do you actually witness? See, I've yet to ever see anybody's mouth move around me. Most of the time, when I'm, you know, hearing something, like I go to a diner a lot, and I can turn around, there's nobody there, so I know it's just modulation that I'm hearing. It's amazing how it's the arsenal is. It never ends. I mean, as long as this goes on, you swear that there's somebody there, you know, whether it's in your house or you're walking on the street. It's amazing, like, the way the perception is. Do you actually, you've seen people, their mouths moving and, you know, directly assaulting you or insulting you, so to say?
No physical assaults, but I use covert psych ops on them. Like, I'll have my mask on so they can't see my mouth move. I'll curse every word in the book at them, and they get squirmy. And sometimes they get aggressive toward me, and someone's witnessing that. So I'm exposing them as crazy, you know what I mean? I think that's important to do. As long as we have this mask, as long as no one can hear you and you have that mask on, they can't see your mouth moving, so you're harassing him in a way.
Right.
You know, and it's important to appear calm and collective, not, you know, shaky or like, oh, that's the problem guy there, you know what I mean? So I'm reversing it on them now. And they retracted from their aggressiveness. You know, somebody even left the place. And there's a cop bar now, and we're going to have our anti-gang stalking meetings at that bar. You know, we're not going to wear shirts that say anything to do with stalking. Because then they say, oh, what that's about, that guy's crazy. They're going to malign us that way. You know, and we're just going to go there, like maybe every 2 weeks or every week, whatever. and maybe sat at the bar where all the gang stalkers hang out and they harass me. Guy took a swing at me. I didn't swing back though, because then the bartender realized he was out of control, which is important. I'm going to build on that too, so it gets thrown out of there eventually. And if that's what it takes, that's what I'm going to do. Now, they got to be sent a message because these cops come to the bar, and they wanted me to act out, so they would be a witness. Because they take the word of a cop more, especially the detectives. I kind of feel it was staged. The whole thing was staged because the cops were there when this happened. So they all staged it, but I outsmarted the MS. And so now that retracting a little bit because I won't put up with that nonsense. And I think we have to face them head on, but covertly, so we don't get in harm's way. And I don't think they're going to assault me. They just get in my face, but I know they're not going to assault me, so I use that to my advantage. And I think we have to do that. I think we have to do that more and more. Some TIs become so. Not that I don't understand what we're going through, but they got to delve deep inside, get that power out, and maybe not be aggressive. Maybe they don't want to do that. It's okay. But they got to get the word out in a sane way, stuff that's believable, like maybe not DUWs because people who aren't TI don't understand that, and it kind of puts us in a negative light. And so I try to approach it from where I use articles where it's verified by newspapers or a investigation or something like that. Like in Florida, they're suing a sheriff down there. I don't know what county, but on what's called predictive policing. If you Google it, predictive policing in Florida, where sheriff's has a lawsuit against you, you'll find the county and more details on it. And we have to go about it that way, I think, when we present who aren't TIs, actual certifiable thing that's happened, like Kathleen Waterson with her successful lawsuit and stuff like that, and also other instances like Jim Guest, a former congressman who exposed some stuff when he was a state senator from, I think it was Missouri, and he spoke, and the guy won the case. I forget the name of the TI who was involved. And, Jim Guest was a formidable guy then, so it brought more authenticity to it. And he went to eventually become a congressman, and he approached Ted Kennedy, I think, before he died. And Ted Kennedy might have done something about gang stalking, but he died of a brain aneurysm. So, yes. So, the stuff is out there, but we have to go about it in a sane way when we present to the people who are non-TIs. And when I have my group...
You're absolutely right.
Yeah. When I had my group, we had 600 members. Only 40 or 50 are actual TIs. Others are paraprofessionals, doctors, lawyers. I think it's important to get out to those people who are non-TIs, but in a coherent, clear message that's certifiable by where people can understand that. Not so much hearsay. I know it's not. I know it's true, but to them it's hearsay. And so I try to authenticate it by articles and newspapers and stuff where it's lawsuits and stuff like that can be in concrete so they can believe it more, Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you could get somebody that's like the woman that I was just talking to from Florida or myself,
right.
It's kind of difficult to do when your family and friends don't want to do it, believe you. It could be taken. You could get so much done if you had a team that understood what was going on and how anti-human and un-American this program is, how evil it is. They would be backing you up in a heartbeat and helping you research and get the evidence together and making calls with you, because there's no shortage of stuff to do. It's just a matter of getting it done in time. And if you wait too long between an instance with the police or, a hospital, you might only have a year, depending on your state laws and stuff. And then you can't file a grievance. And that's
what's your name, man?
That's why I'm having...
What's your name,
What's
sir?
that?
What's your name?
I'm Whitney.
Oh, Whitney. I'm Anthony. I don't know if I said my name yet. And I agree with that. And I was that way in the beginning because I reached out to people. I didn't know it was called gang stalking until 3 years ago. 17 years, I didn't know what the hell was going on. Strange occurrences happened. And I reached out to people. I was in the institution twice. Not kind of forced, one of those psych centers where I was in there for 2 days, I think, and I got out. I wasn't a threat to anybody myself, but when I tried to tell people, oh, this guy's crazy, paranoid schizophrenic, I was put on preventazine for 15 years. It's a antipsychotic for schizophrenia. It caused permanent shaking in my right hand because I was on this. And now I have a therapist who's very supportive of me. She believes everything I say because she's a trauma expert for PTSD. I have that now after 20 years. And it's good to have her as that support. She lets me do meditation with the horses. It's called equine therapy. The horses were left for dead, and they have developed PTSD like I have. And we do what they call Reiki with the horses. You generate energy between you. You don't touch the body of the horse or the body yourself. It just rejuvenates you in a way that helps you with your PTSD. Not so much without medicine, actually, but I do take that as input. But it can help you without medicine. And that's been very good for me to do that. I've been on it 3 years now, and I'm total, 100% turnaround for the timid person I was. I'm more powerful because it made me go inside myself and get that power out. So I'm more forceful in my deliverance of what we're trying to do. And I don't back down now from these guys. I do it covertly, though. And also when I have fear, she told me don't avoid it. Face it. Face your fear. But, and gain power from it. Like, you're not going to let this go on no more. And I think that's important. And when people feel fearful, that's a normal occurrence. But what you can do is focus in the moment. When there's people around, engage with them, be very friendly. Not ignore the person who's harassing you, the gang stalker. Try to put him on the level he belongs. Like, acknowledge him, but set up boundaries with him, so he doesn't harass you like that, And I think that's been very effective for me. And especially with our message we're trying to bring to Suffolk County. Not only would that be for the county, we're also going to try to do what we call a contract. Matt from New Jersey suggests, as a member of our group, that we go around to businesses, not only the ones that are involved, but every business in the area, so they don't become gang stalkers, not accusatory, nice tone towards them, very professional, nice looking, so we not, look bad or anything. Not that it is bad, but look very professional. We approach these businesses and say, would you sign this contract? We'll explain what the gang stalking is, show them articles, stuff like that, and say, hey, man, these people, they're going, these government or whatever, the stalker, community-based stalkers, I call them. I don't call them gang stalkers. I refer to it as community-based stalkers so people better understand it. And I'm going to start approaching these businesses. Haven't signed a contract. I will, if someone's approached me, I want to engage in this because they might be lied to about their why they're being stalked and stuff like that. And I've done it with a few people, and I turned around the gang stalker just like that because they were told lies about me. And I think we do that on a wide basis, especially where I live in the 3 towns. I want to do it in that area, canvass that area, and let them know what the public's going on, and do it that way. So in a believable way, but not accusatory way. And I'm also going to make my when I start a website, and I'm going to do it, get it incorporated so it's a business. I think it's less than $100 a year, which is well worth it because also we can go to become a member of the Chamber of Commerce in your local area, or everyone actually, within maybe a 5-mile radius, and go to those meetings, present our material. And not hearsay or anything, it might be true, but, try to stay away from the DEWs and stuff like that. And go into actual proof about stalking that's been on TV and stuff like that, that's verifiable stuff. And they start to believe you more, and I've seen it. They believe you more. And we can actually reach businesses at the Chamber of Commerce meetings who actually participated in this stuff and being told lies. Hey, man, this guy's an innocent guy, man. It shows more, it gives it more realism to it. And I think that's the way to go about it sometimes, at a local level. Then we're going to go to the school board meetings, maybe put some flyers out, not too aggressive, but slowly over time build support. And all the local things is very important to garner local support in our community, because I think that's where, local support is very important because it's more doable in a local level. You know what I mean? So that's all.
Are you talking about with other TIs, or are you talking about businesses and getting people aware of the program?
Not galvanize so much, but like in a way that's believable to them. Not too much detail, because the more detail, I've learned after 20 years, when you give too much detail, it becomes unbelievable. But gradually over time, I'm going to be a member of this Chamber of Commerce. Over time, I can bring them more aware. Gradually though, because too much, it becomes overwhelming for them. They get tired of hearing about it in a way. So I think that's important. Gradually over time, little by little, gain achieve friendship with these people is very important. Maybe get their phone numbers, stuff like that, their names, so you can relate on Facebook, become their friends on Facebook, send them links on Facebook about this stuff, subtly, of course, and always polite and stuff like that, because we want these people involved. And not only exposing but bringing awareness is very important in the community, because it's all about awareness, I think. And there's a lot of people out there, if they knew what was going on, they would be totally against this. Automatically they think cops are good, and many are good. And I have 3 or 4 Suffolk County cops, a member of my group. And also a guy today, I was outside the deli, a cop car slowed up to me and gave me the thumbs up out the window. There's good cops out there. We've got to reach them and, bring awareness to it. Because a lot of cops that were involved had no idea what this is about. Because I have a friend who's a cop in Nassau County. He'd never heard of this kind of stalking before. And he's a member of the cops for 20 years. So. Sorry,
okay.
so long.
Anthony, do you have anything else you'd like to present, or any other questions that you would like to ask?
It comes to me intermittently.
Okay.
Because I have PTSD, I kind of lose. I forget things easily because of the stress. You know what I mean? Brought on by my computer harassment and the cameras in my house. I feel uncomfortable sometimes. Because they harass me based on what I emotions and stuff like that. So sometimes I get a little off kilter. I try to say a message most of the time, because my therapist has reinforced me. I have the power. I'm an amazing person, and she showed me that I'm an amazing person. You know what I mean? And I think that's important. And this therapist is out in Mattatuck, Long Island, and she's an excellent person. And it's good I found her at the time, because I was seeing another therapist. She was a nice person, but she didn't believe what I was saying, man. So it was kind of like hurt me in the long run, because I wanted someone to believe me all those years. I didn't have that. I had no hope. It was like an endless tunnel, like a black hole I was falling into. And good thing I took myself off that medicine, the Provenazine. But I did it smartly. I went on the internet, researched it. I gradually cut it down, like half. I cut 3/4 half, so I wouldn't become too manic or mania, And she told me I did the right thing. My psych told me I did the right thing coming off that stuff. And now they have me on Paxil, 30 milligrams, and the Kapla is very good. If you have shaking because of PTSD, Kapla has cut that down to about 10% of what it was. So it's very important to have. I know therapists, if you approach them and stuff like that, they might think you're crazy. But she's been very. I think God sent me to her though, and I believe the Blessed Mother is watching out for me now, because circumstances have arrived for me that's unexplainable. Like me showing her to me, and also people showing up in my life who've been very helpful. And how that happened, Someone's definitely looking out for us, TIs, and I believe it's from up above, whatever, if you believe in religion or not, but a higher power, if some people don't believe in. I believe I'm a Catholic all my life. I'm 54 years old, I really think the Blessed Mother's looking out for us all, whether you're a non-Christian or what, but they don't, they gave opportunities for me where I took advantage of it, and it's just how that happened, It was too coincidental that someone's not helping me up above. And I think I wasn't praying to the Blessed Mother. I go to church occasionally. It's not like I pray to her, but she knew I was formidable in a way that I can get this stuff out because I'm not fearful anymore. And that's why they're afraid of me, because I won't back down to these guys. If necessary, I'll get in their face if I have to. I'll do it covertly, there with no one else watching, without the eyesight of the camera and stuff like that. Even though it's not assault, you can verbally abuse them without getting arrested, as long as you don't touch them or anything, But if you continually do it, then it's harassment. You know what I mean? So that's how I handle my stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you,
Yeah.
Anthony.
Yeah.
Next, we have Donna once again. Oh, incidentally, Whitney, I've saved everyone you talk to. I saved the numbers for you.
Okay. I was going to say I'm always about to chime in because they have a lot of good points, and then you be going on to the next person. But
well, go ahead. Anthony's still here.
Okay.
Hi, sir. How are you?
As far as what you said about awareness, that's the key. I'm constantly have that word in my head. That is the most important thing about this whole thing, is to get it
effectively.
Without awareness, you know.
Right. Because you know what, if we don't present in the same manner, we're just running up a bottomless pit. It's just going to fall by the wayside. As long as we say on message, I don't think gang stalker is a good word because people kind of get off kilter about gangs. I think community-based stalking is a better word to use because people realize then, but despite the three words itself, it's community-based. Whereas gang stalking, they're kind of hard to understand, you know. I think that's important to use that word, though, community-based stalking, as opposed to gang stalking. You know, and there's some.
Anthony, one thing.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
The one thing I wanted to keep saying to you was a while back I kept, from what I would read and other people's stories, I would keep saying to them, I wish I got gang stalked because then I could find out who's doing this and I'd, grab it and, get to the bottom of it,
right.
who's doing the attacks and have evidence of this.
Right.
And just every time over the the past couple of years, just the technology, it never fails. I never see anybody actually say anything in my face. It's always the technology around. It sounds like someone's there, but there's not. Or, the people that are there, there's no way it could have been them. Or the voices don't match. It's just crazy.
Yeah, well, what they're trying to do is get you off kilted, I think. And I realized they were doing that for so many years, but I didn't know how to go about it. But now I found out about gang stalking, community-based stalking, I call it. And they prevented access for me to find out about it because they controlled my searches. I used to put harassment, and nothing came up. Just regular husband harassment, ex-wife, stuff like that. Basic stuff, simple harassment. And then I went to the library one day. I guess they weren't expecting me to go there. So sometimes I do things, when I plan things, they were always ahead in the street, cars along the road, and harassment at the place I went to. But now I change it up all the time. So even though they have the GPS on me, I don't go the same way every day. I change it up, and they get confused, and stuff like that. And, so it helps me in that way because it adds more tension and stress to you when you feel someone's always behind you or someone's going to harass you with street deer and like that. I just look straight ahead. I look that way, If I see something, I don't say anything because then they build on emotion. They might harass, they might turn off your radio or something like that because they recognize you were affected by it. And I recognize that, and I don't let them control me anymore. I control them. And that's what gives me the power. And we need hope as TIs, and I think doing that is taking our power back, not by confronting them violently, but standing up for ourselves. And it's going to take a lot of strength for some TIs to get that out. I think we have to get it out if we're going to expose this. Otherwise, it's going on for another 20 years. And I think by focusing, like I'm going to start a conference call, and once I get the computer encrypted, I think, where they can't interfere with it, so it's more reliable for me, I'm going to start a conference call, and I'm going to do 70% awareness, actionable, and actually hold the people accountable who are involved in the call. In a nice way, of course. Oh, did you get that done? Stuff like that. Not too much pressure because a lot of TIs don't need it. They're already getting enough. But we want results, and I think that's important. So 60-70% on actionable stuff, local activism, stuff like that, where it's focused, not all over the place. I want to do 3 or 4 focal points, so we're not all over the place, Then we lose focus and things don't get done when you do too much at once. When you focus on 3 things, it's more achievable. So if we keep it simple, it's more achievable. Don't expect too much, because then you'll see, we can't do that, too much stuff. But try to keep it achievable and build on that. You know what I mean? Because the more success you have, the more better you feel about yourself. And it galvanizes the people more that are involved with your awareness.
That's a big one right there.
And it gives them hope that I'm not going to give up, man. This is going good, you know. People lose hope, I think, when there's not enough actionable thing they're doing. You know, it's good to hear TIs and stuff like that do stuff, but they got to feel some hope
getting results
going to be done. I think that's very important for people, for us TIs, you know. What they're going through is horrible, a lot of them live of the depravity, but they got to get the strength within them and overcome this, otherwise it's going to go on for another 20 years, man. We lost too many people as it is to circumstances, you know, and we can't let it go. We got to step up to the plate, I think, you know.
You know, I'm sure I'm like a lot of, you know, the other people out there that are listening right now and every other call that we're on is that there's no shortage of ideas or things that you have. It's just a matter of you might jump from one to the other. You don't get the results in time. And if you're, aside from conference calls, if you're kind of basically by yourself doing this, it gets frustrating because if you could organize in person and meet regularly with other people, not just TIs, but people that are aware of this in the community, and the more people that you had that have experience and evidence, you know, you can convince them without. You can't expect somebody to understand what it's like to go through this 60-60, 24/7, obviously.
Right.
But there's so much stuff out there. I mean, you look where all the money is being invested. I mean, whether it's Elon Musk with Brainlink or the universities, you know, just everything is going towards this kind of technology. I mean, there's a cognitive research that the military has right now. I think it's like $20 million. And, you know, they have a program now. It's called cognitive warfare. Like, how can they not believe that this is really going on?
Right. I think sometimes we become so involved in that it overcomes us and it loses our focus on what we're trying to do, bringing awareness to it. So I try to filter out some stuff about government, you know, so technologically where it kind of scares us a bit when we become overwhelmed by it. And I've learned to keep focus after 20 years, that I got to focus on 3 issues. Pick 3 issues, focal points, 3-4 issues, and focus on that, because then you're not influenced by so much of the overwhelming that the government after you. If we stay on those 3-4 focal points, I think it's more achievable. And you know, little things, you know. Slow and steady wins the race, you know, not full speed ahead, full throttle ahead. It's good to have that power in you, that you want to have it, but do stuff that's achievable. Do you know what I mean? It gives you more confidence. It builds fortitude in you, that you keep trugging on, you know. And I find I keep trugging on because of that. You know, I don't lose enthusiasm like I used to, because I keep it achievable.
That's a. You never find yourself. You take something so far, whether it's making phone calls or it's research or it's shielding or, you know, waiting for a contact to get back to you or putting together evidence or meeting with people. It's like you get so far with one, so you put it on the back burner. And you have so many things going that you just don't seem to get any results. But one of the things that I thought we all have in common that I don't hear about, and I think we should do like a Q&A session on one of these conference calls where whether you're new to this or you've been in it for 20 years or 5, is things that we all have done that backfire, and like a list. We should all have a list and go over them. Like the things that we should all make sure we do, like do you file a report with your local police? Even if you don't expect anything, is it necessary to have that on file and you could add to it? Don't do this. Don't ever go to your neighbor's house. I heard somebody the other night mention that on Monday, and that was very good, because that will get you 302, and that's what they want. They want you to get diagnosed with mental illness, then they'll go after that. They want you to get incarcerated, to go after that. If they're getting you with the gang stalking, that's what they're going to get you at. Me, it's the V2K and the constant attacks. You know, somebody else, it might be staged car crashes like that, the woman from Florida. And it's like, if we could go through the things that every TI needs to know that they should definitely do and the things they shouldn't do, even if it seems basic, maybe some people haven't heard it yet, or, you know, they're going to do it and it's going to mess them up and set them back, like lose their license or they can't work. Those are things I think we should actually go over and address.
Okay.
And the other thing is, we got to remember that this all starts as identity theft. Do you file with the FTC? Do you do it online? Because that can go further. It could affect, like, if you have unemployment. I know there's a big one on the web right now in Massachusetts because of the COVID, that there's a lot of scammers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so.
Really good. Yeah, that sounds really good, man. Yeah.
That's the one thing I think we should all file for: identity theft, and try to protect as much of our data. Like, go on websites like Tower Data is one of them. It has like your address. There's ones with your voting registration and history. Another one might have this stuff for your medical records, third parties. Some places can check your hours you worked and your pay stubs. They know your smart meters. They could put all that, you know, are you paying your bills, and put together an entire profile of you. If you could control all the data that you can, it might narrow down stuff that you could find on the internet and narrow it down to who's doing this.
Right.
Like, type in stuff that you say. I noticed there's like a false article from a local paper about me, and I'm a female, but it has my parents' address, and it's dated 1984. And I just found that a couple months ago. There's other ones that have, like, receiving money in my dad's name, and that never happened. There's false arrest in the previous town I was in that never happened, but it's on the internet.
Yeah.
And there's these things in China right now that it's like, we call it a dossier, and over there they call it, like, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, the Dang On or the Dong, something like that, like DANG. And the people in the social credit system have this file of you, a dossier, and you're not allowed to see it. So it could be all fabricated nonsense.
Right.
And they could say you were, you know, fired from 25 jobs, and you weren't. And this is the reason they're stalking you. And trying to justify, it's crazy. And it's basically, they're just creating enemies and people they want to get rid of so they can steal everything from you and program these computer systems, you know, artificial intelligence.
Also, what we started in the New York City group is we have a support call where you can call someone if you're being stalked. So when you call them, they kind of lay off a little bit because there's someone authenticating what's going on with her at the time. Because when you, with your cell phone company, you have a time step when you make a call. You know, time step, how long you talked and stuff like that, where you talk from. So we got to use that to our advantage, I think. And basically, she started this, Janie, and when she's being stalked or she's going out, she calls me and authenticates that she's on the phone at that time, and maybe use it in the future for continued harassment and stuff like that. You know, kind of opens because it's like a document. You know, it's the phone company had timestamp and everything. I think we can use that to our advantage, and we have like 4 or 5 people who will accept the call on their cell phone or home phone. You know, even if they're in the middle of doing something, they'll take the call. You know, I think that's important for TIs too. You know, because it's something that...
It's so pathetic to think that these perps need us so bad. They don't have friends or family. I mean, they're such evil people. You know, if you dwell on it, it will drag you down to the level. It's like, this is what they offer the world. This is all they could give. It's like Cain and Abel. You know, it's like they're jealous and they want to kill you and squash your gift. You know, you wake up and you want to do stuff and create stuff and you know, have friends in your life. And these people just want to destroy everything and conquer
isolated, And I've learned over 20 years that I don't dwell too much what they're doing to me and why. I just dwell on how I'm going to fight the motherfuckers. I'm sorry for cursing, but sometimes I'm so pissed off what's going on, but I still stay focused on what I need to do, those 3 to 4 focal points I have. And number one is bringing awareness. Sometimes when I focus on what they're doing, why, they're bastards, stuff like that, you know, I've come to realize that I'm more effective when I don't dwell on that, but keeping focus on what I'm trying to do, keeping that strength I need to expose it, those 3 focal points. And they're trying to distract us from that, and that's why I think they, use street theater like that to make you feel uncomfortable or scared or fearful or like, Because they're always creepy people, right? And when they're creepy people, they put fear in you and stuff like that. But I've overcome that because I face the fear. Maybe not them physically, but in my mind, because I'm controlling my mind more. And my therapist had taught me that we can control how we take in stuff. It's most of the time it's how we react to a situation. 90% of our stress is how we reacted to a situation and how we take it in and react to it. And she showed me that we can filter out the negativity. And because if I'm in a bar having a drink, right, and someone's gang stalking me there, and they might say a nasty thing to me, but if I still feel good when they're doing it, then it falls back on them that they feel bad. You know what I mean? If they know they're not affecting me, it falls back on them. And I feel it's more effective the way they lay back more when it's not affecting you. Especially with all the cameras around, they judge your emotions, and they see you get nervous, they attack you more. Because a lot of these gang stalkers have amplifiers in their ear. They can hear you 100 feet away what you're saying. So I use them to my advantage when I have the mask on. I think I mentioned it before. I do psych-ops on them, and they recant. And sometimes they act out. One of the bartenders saw him acting out, and he believed me more than I told him before what was going on. He kind of solidified what I was saying, because he witnessed it himself. He was out of control. And I was no antagonism by me. That it was done covertly, but I brought him out and I attacked him because he was vulnerable.
I don't mean to interrupt you, Anthony. You can get in line again, but we do have callers who would like to ask Whitney questions behind you.
Sure, man.
Get in line again. Get in line again as many times.
How do I do that, man? How do I do that? Press.
Yeah, just do the same thing again. I think it's *8, something like that.
Okay. All right, thank you, sir.
All right, yeah, just get right back in line.
Sure.
Okay, the next one is Donna again, who has gotten back in line. Go ahead, Donna.
I just wanted to say that I think that targeted individuals are wonderful people. They have great ability of how they've overcome all the obstacles. Is amazing how we've all developed our characters and how we have had to change up our lives, change up all about us, everything about us to survive this warfare. And I think that they're exceptional people. I've talked to many. I've talked to some that are not, but they're exceptional people. And I wish they would work together more. But I thought your do's and don'ts idea is outrageous, great idea. And I think your data idea is great. And going into medical records and getting as much paperwork as you can, because it, beyond a shadow of a doubt, proves what's happening to you. And that's, to me, that is the whole goal. And Anthony, I come from where you live. I lived in Mount Sinai before I came to Florida. And can I say that you've overcome amazingly? And I agree with a lot that you say about, proving your point in society. I don't work that way, but I'm glad that you do, and I think that more TIs should too. But I think, and I don't know what you think about this, Whitley, but one of the things that I found along the way, because I've seen both sides of the fence, as strange as that sounds, and I see how well some of these people are living, these government employees, sheriff's office, Lockheed and Martin. I've seen them all. And I know where they live. And I know what they do. And I know how much money they're making. And you know what? People don't know about this part. They're not shown that every blade of grass and their nice little summer homes. And they're making money, too, in other ways. And they're living good. And people don't see that part. And if people really saw that part and how evil this really is for the money and for what they're doing, it would be different. to me. I mean, that's how I feel. And I carry a GoPro. I don't go anywhere without a GoPro. I have a GoPro at my hand at any moment, and I have to because I get assaulted. If I'm backing out of a parking space, I've had people stop, lay their hand on their horn, get out, curse me out, and take their big gulp and smash it at my window and chase me down the road. I've had people do fake body slams on me walking down the street over a parking space. I can't even tell you. So I don't go anywhere without a GoPro. I download everything. It's shocking the storage that I have. I'm not tech savvy. I really don't know how to get it out there, but one day I will because I'm storing it. I keep a diary, a specific diary of who's around, what they're doing, hanging around my car, the different things that they're doing. It's such a major deterrent. And they look for my camera. They look around my body. They get on the elevator looking where it is to tell the next person. I watch everything that they're doing. Body language is everything. I've learned body language. I used to be a carefree person, never looked at people, never looked at my surroundings. And I also wanted to bring up life insurance. Have you ever looked, Whitley, into dead peasant life insurance or life insurance? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was a guy that had a website he was from England. He was an older TI, and I think I read somewhere that he's not around anymore. I can't remember his name, but he was talking about getting under heavy metals was his big thing, getting under layers and layers of sheets of metal. And he said the whole thing is about life insurance. And that was one of the first websites I ever read when I started finding out these terms. I still think that could be a big part of it. And the fact that they turn you down for anything, whether you had, you've been in rehab or do you smoke or, stuff like that, is just basically, I think the big companies and insurance companies want to be able to claim whoever they can. And
well, this is how I feel. All these points are fantastic, but here's the thing: if targeted individuals don't set up camp, because we're at war, straight up, we're at war, and they're going to pick us off individually, one by one. And watch the Animal Kingdom. It's exactly what they're doing, and it's really sad because most of us are women. I'm great to hear you guys out there because you're strong, but they don't work together. TIs don't work together. If they worked all these points together, if they did their homework and went out there and started helping each other on these points, okay, if they all started doing searches and they all started comparing all these things, like if they go and get release of information. If you had 30 people, just 30 TIs. You can't get 30 TIs together to file for release of information all at the same time and see what happens. It would make the news. If you got 50 TIs that file for release of information, okay, and you had a adverse situation, it would make the news. If you had groups of as they were working together, I'll be honest with you, I don't understand the poster thing. What is that doing? Why aren't people working together on the real issues? If you went out and searched out where these guys that are doing this to you, if you found out where they're living and how much money they're making off of you, because I've seen it and I know it. Okay, I've watched it play out. I know where they live. I know what they're doing. And I'm saying that if this was shown and they worked together on these issues, it would be more obvious and out there on blast, all these issues put together. Posting documents individually, that the documents that you have, proving what they have. Each person, what they're going through, what they, the proof. I know I have it. I have you wouldn't even believe some of the stuff I have. It's so outrageous. It was hard to believe that this little nobody woman in the middle of this little town here is going through this much stuff. You know what I mean? And yeah, it's just But I have it documented. It's so outrageous. I keep my GoPro everywhere I go. And so I don't understand why they're not, bringing awareness is all great. I wish mine were so, I wish I could go around and do that, but I can't. I have massive, they've done massive footwork on me, massive footwork. And why me so heavy, I don't really know. But they really have done very heavy footwork on me. They have displayed, they had a guy out here, he moved in a year ago, and our Hispanic population went up about 480%. And this man moved in, this guy, and this guy literally stayed at the door, hung out, and talked about me from morning till night to every one of them. And then I found the false report background and all this other stuff, and it's just so massive, and it comes at you so much of it that you can't deal with it, But if the TIs work together, they can do this so much better. To get the word out there.
If it's you could do stuff in like an ad hoc network over the internet. I don't know how far they go, like how far spaced apart you'd have to be, but where you could actually like be decentralized from a provider, so to say, and control all your security and your defenders, firewalls, and all that, and share all the same information on the network. So that if somebody hacked into it or was messing with any of the computers, you'd know instantly.
Oh, you can store all your stuff on pen discs.
I don't know enough about computers to use them properly. I keep getting stuff messed up. So I just go on there, I look something up, I read it or download it like a PDF, and that's it. I really don't even get to my emails. I do everything by a phone call. But I'm all about like in person. If I could find like a list, anyone that's close enough. Like I said, that guy Kevin, that maybe an hour ago, he hasn't contacted me, and I haven't had a phone for a while. And then this other guy I met on Saturday. There's two people that are somewhat close, and then I've been keeping contact with Frank and doing these conference calls. But you guys are a couple hours away.
But can you imagine if there was a website that had just videos, pictures of most wanted gang stalkers in their state and area? People that have been stalked and harassed by people. You have most wanted from getting arrested. Why don't we have most wanted gang stalkers? Videos of the games they play. Street theater, who and what in their area. Because I'll tell you what, I met somebody in my area briefly, and she came to me wanting to know. She showed me a picture of who was stalking her, and it was the same ones that were doing it to me. So they were because they had 4 different vehicles out here, and they lived right by me, but they were going after her too, and so. That's how they get caught because, if you got the repeated people, and I know there's a lot of them, but still, they don't want exposure. If you had the most wanted gang stalker site on the internet, Facebook, YouTube, if you posted your documents on there showing what they do, if you had the do's and don'ts, if you had, people, you can go get your life insurance. You can do a research on that. It costs $90, and you go get to find out if there's any policies out on you. Some of it's personal. But, if, like I said, if everybody works together and brings awareness in these fashions, posting these things that would help each other.
Credit checks are good, too.
Yeah, all of it. Background checks, credit checks, medical records is a biggie, and I could help with that because I can do that. But when you do medical record search, you'll be shocked at what you pull. You've got to get all those records because, especially psychiatrists, psychologists, and that kind of stuff, hospitals, pull them all, get them all, and go through them with a fine-tooth comb. You'll be shocked. Police reports, absolutely. You can get call records. You get those call records of date, time, and location of somebody pulls some game on you and you think they called the cops on you, you can do a call log and you can request a call log. So call logs are very informative and very important when these things are going down. So people need to definitely pull all this information because it proves beyond a doubt what's going on. You can talk or try to convince people or do, but, let's put it this way. When you have it, like say you have a street theater situation going down, right? And it's like, well, do they believe that person or are they going to believe you, right? That kind of thing. What can you really do? They are. But when you carry a GoPro or you have a diary, and this has been going on to you, and you have incident after incident after incident of this neighbor and that neighbor, and I went here and they did this and I went there, and look at this video and look at that. Watch this play out. And people look, and then they're like, oh, yeah, there's something definitely wrong here. Right? Well, that's what has to be presented to the people that don't know really what's going on.
Yeah, what you were just saying about the call log, is that I tried to get from the police. I went in person. I took my father with me. And I said, can I get proof of a call? I had the date and the time and, where this came from. Who's the provider? It's taxpayer money. I said, can I get proof that this is the guy that called? And how do you find that? Is that on the internet, or do you have to go through something?
No, you have to request it through the police.
Okay.
Yeah, whether it be, it depends on, you got to find out if it's city police or if it's a sheriff's office, if it's county. So you got to find that out first. And then when you find that out, then you go to that, sheriff's office or city or whatever, and then you're going to go to them with date, time, and location with your name and request the call log at that location at that time and date. Mm-hmm.
Now,
yeah.
I called the phone, and the woman that answered told me that they don't do that. So I went there in person, and he basically made it sound like it's possible, but he gave me a rough time. He wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
He wanted nothing to do with it. And, I started getting a little frustrated after about 10 minutes. He just would not give me any info on how to get it.
That's the game. That's the game. That is the game. And when you realize this is the game, you don't stop. And you don't stop until you get, because by law they have to give that to you. So let me tell you, you have to fight for it. And everything is a fight. Everything is a fight. But the quicker that you do it, the better off you are. Don't wait too long. The quicker, the better. But, yeah, you got to fight for it. You got to go to everywhere and everybody until you get what you have to have, period, end of story. And you don't stop till you get it, because I tell you, I got a judge that took early retirement with less pay, okay? I have a first responder and a lieutenant, boof, gone. I got another cop. False report, boof, he's gone. Gang stalkers, forget that. It's all kinds of stuff. But you have to. You're at war. You really are. That's what it is. A lot of people you look at it all different ways, but that's really what it is. It's total character assassination. It's destruction of property. It's they'll destroy. Forget it. They're coming for you. This is psychological warfare, man. It's all of it.
What exactly is that called? Is it like a database that it's in, or is it just their call log for that department?
Well, like I said, if it's city area, in other words, the location determines which department it's in. So you have to find out the address and if it's city, county, and then from there you go to the city or the county, and you're going to request that time, date, and location, your name, and they'll fight you on it. Sometimes they won't give it to you, and I found out a lot of stuff along the way, a lot. So they will, and you can keep fighting, all the way up until you get it. You know, like here in Florida, we go to Tallahassee, you know, and I've been fighting them for some records. There's some records, and there are some that they refuse and didn't, and they got paid for and shut down. Like when I got assaulted in the mall, and they had to reconstruct my shoulder, there was no police report, and I had to sue to get my surgery, but, you know, they shut that down. A lot of money. So where there's a lot of money, it gets shut down. But call logs, you can get them. You have that right. Mhm. And I got a lot of them, and I got other people's accidentally too. But you know.
What if say, let's say you don't know anybody in your town that's you know, a TI that could back you up, and you don't have any friends or family that want to help because they don't believe it. If you have, like we're talking on a conference call right now, if I went there and they give me a hard time, is there a way like I could say something to Frank, I could say something to you, and you guys could call, like the more people that call this place and demand that you give me the information, and, you know, you fight for each of us together, you know, you think that would help?
Well, I think no, not really. And may I say that there's something that I learned along the way. And my isolation has been excellent for me, okay, because I used to be really sociable. And always busy, have people around. But you know what? I learned one thing, most important for all TIs, the number one most important thing. You got to not care what people think at all. At all. That's my theory. You got to not care what people think. Because they got this picture of you that somebody painted and spent a whole lot of time, effort, lots of people, lots of time, lots of money to paint you as this person that you're not. So why would you even care that these people are so superficial? Even people that have known you your whole life, people that you've loved, that you've took care of, people that they call you up with gossip? Are you kidding me? You're going to care what people think? Uh-uh. No more of that. No more of that. You're fighting a false identity that you had that's been created of you to everybody.
Donna, if you'd like to get back in line again, you're welcome to, but at this point in time, we have to move on to the next caller, and that is Scylla.
Oh, sorry. I talk a lot.
Oh, that's okay. Get in line again. Go ahead, Scylla. Okay, Scylla, you have a problem. Okay, Scylla, you have a nasty growl. I don't know what it is. Hold on a second. Let's try it again. Okay, Scylla, we'll have to move on. I don't know what you have happening there, but it's nasty. You have a loop, but it sounds like a bag full of bees. See if you can straighten it out and get back in line again. Okay, Anthony again. Go ahead.
Hi, sir. I really loved what Donna had to say from Florida, and I didn't think of that approach, and that's great because I went to I filed a FOIA request to the police for all my calls where they responded to my house. I didn't get everything I needed, so now I'm going to do a step-by-step, go to the chain of command. If I don't get nowhere with the police, I'm going to go to my legislator, and I have a contact now with two contacts in the state and the county legislator, and she was on my call. I said I was very believable when I spoke before the county on gang stalking, and I'm going to go that way with the county legislator to get what I need to get, if it comes to that level, because it's important to go to the chain of command first, and she's very helpful in doing that. So at least you tried the right way, and they reneged on it. So then I go to the county legislature. Very helpful. And she had a great message, empowerment, inspiration. I think that was important for us as TIs. So, yeah. You know, she brought a lot of hope to people who feel like they have no hope, and I think that's important, you know.
Do you guys deal with, or I'm trying to think the correct word, do you have any ties with Damon Jones?
The chief?
Yeah.
Yeah. I have his phone number. I don't know what nights he's on.
I tried calling the one number on his website, you know, aside from one of his conference call, and it ended up going to an Uber driver in Florida. And I was never able to tell him that. And
right.
I've had misdirected calls from this phone already, you know, in the past.
Man. Yeah. Yeah.
And I just thought that was amazing.
You know why? Because we're effective, and they know we're on the right track in exposing this, so they try to derail us. But I go to the library now, and where I have witnesses there, I go on the library computer and access this stuff. I don't rely on my computer too much, and I rely more on the library computer, I realize. You know, I forgot what question I was going to ask. But anyway, very effective call tonight, man. It's great, actionable stuff, you know? Very important to galvanize the TIs together. And we plan on having a 3-day conference at a local hotel in Suffolk County, mid kind of center of Suffolk County, and you know, right accessible by the expressway and the LIE and the Sunrise, so people from the city and Jersey can come out. And basically, we're going to focus on have professionals there. Maybe Matt, the scientist, he's a scientist from New York City. Have him there, and he's going to do, you know, the whole gauntlet of the gang stalking, DWs, all that stuff. Have it presentable where he's, you know, he's kind of. It's good to have someone like him, you know. And we're going to have people, not only TIs, but with do the whole area with, you know, bring attention to it. And different speakers over the 3-day period. But the third day, you know, we're going to perhaps do what's necessary, and we're going to send emails to the county executive, inviting them to come, and the DA, and inviting him to come, and the police commissioner. And we don't want no underlings in there. We want someone who can affect policy change. And we're going to hold them to it, because we're going to have a professional videographer there. And everyone's going to be dressed in ties and everything. And if necessary on the third day, maybe we'll do a little rally outside the house or something like that. We did that with illegal immigration. It was very effective. And that was like 23 years ago. And before I found out about gang stalking, what it was and stuff like that, it was very effective that way. We can have bullhorns and stuff like that. But only if it comes to that degree, we're going to give them the chance to come forward, you know, address the issues we're demanding they do. So we'll see what happens, you know. And we plan on doing it within a year, so we can get enough speakers there, give them time to, you know, get speakers that's important, like H. Michael Sweeney, who was a CIA guy, and they started targeting him. And he did a book called The Professional Paranoid. I read it 20 years ago. And he basically said, play games with the target, play a game in your mind so it keeps you sane. And it helped me a lot 20 years ago, before I knew what was going on and stuff. It really helped me. He gives a lot of technical stuff, how to fight it, how to fight the technology. And he's, of course, grown over the years with the new technology. He's an awesome person. He has actually camps that are gang stalker free, and he owns a couple, like a quarter or half a mile of certain properties throughout the U.S. I think 2 locations he has, and it's totally vetted. Everyone that goes in there who's a TI, they're vetted to the tilt, because they don't want no infiltration of gang stalkers, and he plans on expanding it if he gets enough funds. He's on Facebook too, he was on one of our calls, New York City group, and he spoke nonstop for an hour, full of passion, and, he really knew what he was talking about, and flowing with energy, everything, very important. And, he really got across what he needed to say, and I really like to have him at our conference, and he's believable, and he's a former expert CIA guy, stuff like that. He brings professionalism and knowledge of what we're going through, and he can bring authenticity to what we're going through, and I think that's important. So he's an awesome guy, and Robert Duncan, maybe we can get him, someone who's, a doctor and being TI too, so, that's basically it. But I really love Donna's talk there. Yeah, I wonder if she knows about predictive policing. It was a lawsuit filed against a chief of police down there, the sheriff of a county down there in Florida, and it's in the process. I don't know how long ago, how the process is going or anything, how long it's gotten, but you could probably research it on Google and it'll come up. Predictive policing in California. So, yeah, we plan on maybe presenting that to the county legislator when we do our subsequent talks on the county legislator, a little more proof of what we're going through and stuff like that. So that's it for me.
Okay, thank you very much. Anthony, if you have any more questions or information, please get in line. Okay, next we have Deborah Chase. Well, pardon me, sorry about that. Go ahead, Deb.
Sorry, hi guys.
Hi, how you doing?
Oh man, I'm getting inundated. I pissed them off. Anyway, so I really have enjoyed what I've heard in the last hour. The woman who was speaking, Donna, right? I was wondering if she could tell me how to look up life insurance if somebody has a policy out on you.
Go to your state insurance commissioner.
Okay.
And I'm not sure what state you are in or who your commissioner is, but that is what you want to do. I did that years ago.
Okay, here's the thing. One of my stalkers, when I lived at my last apartment about 6 blocks from here, I ran... there was a young guy who was part of my gang stalking, and most of my gang stalkers have had Illinois plates. I'm in Missouri, and and this particular person had an Illinois plate. It was his girlfriend, and when I just Googled it, and it came up as the Illinois insurance division, and I went, oh boy, that doesn't look good. And I was a little concerned because, and I thought, well, and I've been trying to figure out if anybody has anything on me, an insurance policy on me ever since, and I haven't been able to get anywhere. So anyway, I was wondering about that. Thank you, Anthony, for all your input. I didn't get to hear your guest speaker. I got on the call late.
He's here. You're actually in the Q&A session, and Whitney is here, and we'll answer any of your questions.
Hi, Whitney. I'm sorry I didn't get to hear any of your talk, but I am
How you doing?
I'm good. I'm hanging in there. I moved into this apartment. I'm on the 2nd floor. I'm being cooked alive. None of my regular shielding is working. It was working up until I talked about it on one of the calls, and then all of a sudden my shielding stopped working. And it's like to the point I'm a little frantic, because it's so painful. And,
how are you getting hit?
Like my insides are shaking and my skin is burning.
Is it coming up, like, does it feel like it's coming up from the floor, or is it overhead?
Does.
All stuff.
Both. See, I live in a building. It's basically a big square, and it has 4 2-bedroom units in it. And I'm on the west side of the building, and so I'm thinking they're just probably exact layouts, only on opposite sides. I'm on the west side, and there's 2 up and down on the east side. Another Illinois plate down there on the east side, and I'm always like you can tell who these perps are. Sometimes, I don't know, they're narcissists, and a narcissist and an evil person, what they have in common is they must let you know they're there. Okay? They give themselves away. And so this person gave themselves away. And then I have Mr. Apple downstairs, who is an Apple geek, young couple, and they were leaving like every other night, and I was getting inundated, and then they started leaving on the weekends. Well, this past weekend, I see this couple come out, and I thought, oh, well, maybe I was wrong. Maybe they were subletting their apartment or whatever. And I was talking about this on Saturday night's call, and I just got fried the last 2 nights. And I think I might have hit a nerve because my theory is my stalkers are basically the old people have gone away. It's mostly young people. In the beginning, it was mostly African-American men. Still with the Illinois plates. Then it went to elderly and older people, and now it's back to the very young, like millennials. My theory is these people, we have one of the largest fusion centers in the United States here in St. Louis. We also have the geospatial organization here. And I think they're in training. And I think they're using me. And, buddy, it feels like it's coming through the floor, down through the ceiling. And the ceiling, I say that because it's a big box, big square building, except on one side it's like A-frame. So there's an attic space up there, and I can hear things up there. And I know they can do that. But I'm like, I pointed reflective stuff up there, and they've literally dropped what they were holding because I heard it hit the ceiling. And I pointed it at the floor, and they've literally dropped underneath me what they were holding. And so, but I don't have, it's like I don't have enough of it, you know. Somehow they get around it, and I'm just being creamed here. Any suggestions?
What was that you said was reflected?
I'm not saying. It's something that Karen Stewart talked about, reflective material. Mm-hmm. And
that's something I struggle with too in my house. And I live with other people, so I can't just keep experimenting, like shutting the power off and trying to do stuff because they just flip out. They're not going to feel it the same way. And after so many times, it just becomes, you know, you're a pain in the ass, and you kind of have to get out.
Well, I live in an apartment by myself, and I've turned my refrigerator off at night. I just checked my thermostat, and the ground wire has been removed. Thankfully, it hasn't been cold, and I haven't used it. I went down to check my electric. It's all old fuses. And my building is the only building that has the meters on the inside of the building. And I'm like, that is so weird. I don't know what that's about. I have no idea. I don't know anything about electric. I just know if I'm buzzing, I turn it off. and I'm buzzing. And they're getting me at work, too. They're getting my little lady that I take care of. So I don't know what to do.
Hey, do you have a question for Anthony specifically?
No. I just wanted to vent and let everybody know I'm still here and breathing.
Okay. Whitney,
Thank you.
Have questions that you wanted to ask Deborah?
Probably too many, but it's.
Go ahead.
I can tell. I'll tell you right now, and I'm actually an electrician by trade. Is I'm struggling with some of the same stuff. Like the more you read, and the types of frequencies, some of them are so unidentifiable unless you have the right equipment and know how to use it. You could, try all kinds, and it's just you think something's working, and it's like you don't know if they're actually playing with you to make you think it's working, and then they bring it back. Or, there's so many things that you could try, whether it's shielding or, there's...
Mm-hmm.
I definitely don't have an answer for you on any of that right now.
Right. Well, I sure do appreciate you being on the call, though. Thank you.
I was struggling like all the rest of you.
Okay, thank you. Next,
all right.
We have 4418. Go ahead.
Hey, Frank.
Hi. How you doing?
I'm doing okay.
You have a question for Whitney?
I kind of was going to ask the same question as the one that was just on there concerning what she's going through. But kind of wanted, I think her name was Deb that was on there a little while ago, a couple calls back. She had stated about TIs getting together and shared a lot of information concerning police reports and other things, and I thought that was quite interesting. I'm hoping that a lot of people held on to that thought and maybe does something about it. And then I listened to her talk about the insurance policies. Yeah, that's something worth looking into as well. So some of the same questions I was going to ask have already been asked. So I guess that's it. Thank you.
Go ahead, Anthony. Anthony. Okay, I guess he is not there. Next, Donna is back again.
Hey, I wanted to touch base on some of the things that she had just said. I didn't catch her name prior, about her, electricity in the house and all of her, what she's going through. There was a guy that was most interesting on the internet, and he lived in an apartment as well. And some of the apartments have their boxes. Each smart meter or regular meters are, posted in a room or on a board outside, so to speak, where they're visible. And one of the most interesting things that he pointed out was that he found the people that were hitting him. He went to the meters, and I think he had like 30 meters. And he walked along the meters, and he looked at each meter and what they were reading at and how fast they were going. And all of a sudden he got to this one meter, and it was blasting. I mean, it was like spinning. It was going. And he said, there you go. There's the people that are hitting me, because directed energy weapons generally use a lot of electric. And you're an electrician, right, Whitley?
Yeah.
Yeah, right? And so that's how he found out who was using the directed energy weapons on him. And that's proof. That's a lot of proof right there. Like, okay, so what are they using that theirs is spinning out of control and everybody else is going at the same type of speed? So that was an interesting thing I found, because I actually did that. And then another thing, she had asked about the life insurance. There's specific names. And so if you go into a search, you might want to start with, it's called Dead Peasant Life Insurance. And I'll give you an example. Here in Florida, we have Winn-Dixie. It's a grocery store chain. And they hire people for very little money to bring in carts to bag groceries, low, and they hire them for, say, 2 years. And that's why they have such a high turnover rate. You wonder why these corporations have high turnover rates. Well, I'll give you an example. The corporation for years have been taking out life insurance policies out on these people. All I had to do was work there a couple of years. And they took out life insurance policies, and those people didn't even know they were doing it because by law they didn't have to. And so so the most interesting thing is that's one of the ones you want. Now, that's going to lead you into other ones, but I'm just giving you one name. There's several that are just like this that you'll come across in your search, and you're going to go down all the corporations like Coca-Cola. A lot of them are on there. And you're going to go down all the corporations and see if you've ever worked for them, even in your younger years when you were a kid, whatever. Go through all those names and see if you work for any of those companies. And that'll lead you into possible life insurance that you didn't know about on yourself. And there is a guy, I don't have the information right now, but he will do a search for you. You'll find that along the way too. You just pay $90, they'll do a search on you. Some of them go overseas and they'll let you know that, but sometimes they can't pull them when they get lost and everything. But if it started out in somebody's name, like say you were married and you had a real double indemnity like I did, and then, accidental death kind of thing, that can be transferred to other people. They actually can do that. So, when you do your search, you got to do search. It takes time, but you want to start out with that one there because that's a major one. And I just wanted to let her know that because that's an interesting thing that people need to look into. I just wanted to say that.
What was the name of that?
Dead Peasant Life Insurance.
What
and it'll lead you. Mm-hmm.
You said dead. What was the second word?
Peasant.
Peasant.
Like
P-E-A-S-A-N-T. Okay.
Peasant, right? Peasant. You peasant. Peasant.
So, deadpeasant.com.
No, Dead Peasant Life Insurance.
Life insurance. Okay.
Correct. And that will lead you into other corporations. Other life insurance, and you'll be looking up all your corporations and who holds those. It's actually shocking because there was a story. You'll actually find out along the way. You'll find it in your search of some stories that actually came out of why they actually didn't treat somebody in the emergency room, and they traced it back to the life insurance that the corporation had taken out on that person with asthma. Quite a simple, yeah. So you'll all these searches, you're gonna paint a picture of your life now. You want to do all these searches because all these searches are gonna, and that's why I say TIs need to really do this kind of stuff together. I mean, especially with the internet, and do these things together, and they're gonna find comparisons. And they're going to find their life is not what they thought their life was. That's what's going to happen. And witnesses, by the way, I tell you a very good thing. Say something happens to you. This is what I did. I was talking about one time I pulled out of a parking space, right? And it happens so quick sometimes that you're not ready with your little GoPro or you can't get it quick enough. And so it happened right in front of the cell phone store. And so what I did was I didn't get this girl quick enough, but she literally almost broke the glass in my face, my car glass window, when she smashed her big gulp at my glass and was cursing me out for absolutely no reason at all whatsoever. I was slowly backing out of my parking space, and she just went off absolutely mad. and started chasing me down as well. So what I did was I didn't have time to get my GoPro. I'll tell you what I did. I went back to the cell phone store, and I walked in there, and I said, hey, did you guys see that lady that went off on that lady the other day? And they were like, yeah, and I had it going. And so I recorded everything that they were saying. Yeah, she did that for no reason. What is that? And you know what I did? I said,
hello? Okay, Whitney, it looks like we lost Donna momentarily.
Yeah, I had a question for her about the meter that she said she found something. And I have all kinds of things that I have here, too, as far as evidence recorded on camera and whatnot. But it's a matter of the provider, the server. It's very difficult to find anybody that can actually do anything about it. You know, like how do you get a lawyer or several cases together locally and prove that this is going on? You know, who do you show it to? That's the problem.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I have
it shouldn't be this difficult.
I mean, if you turn your oven on and you go down and look at your meter, it's going to be smoking. You know, that's all I want to say.
Yeah, but it's the new digital read. There's like reset buttons. The old ones, when it was the analog, were real easy. Like if it was spinning fast, you'd know maybe like your thermostat on your water heater was out, and you'd replace the element, and it would slow down drastically. With the new ones, to know how to read them, it's so difficult, and there's different things going on in the place. You got, you know, even if you record it, it's like, okay, so you call your provider, and it's like, what do they do? You know, they don't know what to do with it. You could call MedEd, you could call the person who manufactures it, you could call the energy company, and it's like, or the Department of Energy, and they just give you the runaround.
Yeah, I can understand that. I just wanted to say that she saw the meter spinning, so it must be an old analog meter. It's the only thing I can think of. But at this time, we don't have anybody in the Q&A. Now, you can go on with the Q&A and continue speaking, and I'm sure you'll get some more people, or we can go into opening up the room. It's your choice. Okay, we have Anthony back again. Okay, hold on a second. Okay,
Hi,
go ahead.
Yeah, man, what's up, man? Yeah, I really like what Donovan's saying tonight because it's actionable, and I'm going to do exactly what she said with the, I'm thinking about getting a GoPro. Do you know if that's digital? Because it won't be affected there because they hacked that shit. Yeah.
I'm not familiar with the GoPro. I assume it's a small camera system. I assume it's also digital.
Okay.
Things that are very small like that are seldom analog.
Okay. But I'm going to get a camera that's wired, and maybe perhaps I can hide it in my hat or something so I can, you know, try that when I'm being street theater and stuff like that. Because I try to camera in my car, but they only sell digital ones, I think. But so I'm going to try with the wired stuff, maybe go on Amazon and stuff like that, you know what I mean? And I think that's the only way I can really prove what's going on with in the store, stuff like that, you know? Unless if I can do what Donna did, you know, and I'm definitely going to do that, you know, bring them out, expose them like she did, you know. And then she went back in the store and stuff like that, you know. She opened a new opportunity for me to, you know, bring awareness to this here. So that's all I have to say.
Any questions, Whitney?
Yeah, actually, Frank, last time I talked to you about, you were talking about like taking a shower as one of your countermeasures and stuff. Do you have anything that happened to you that maybe your perpetrators got you to step into a position where you had any problems with, say, the police or any hospitals like that you could use as far as, have they like tried to trap you into a spot like that yet?
Oh yeah, they definitely have. They said that they would be at location A or location B. This is in the very beginning, but they were never there. They said that they were going to be at, they just never, ever show up. And that's about all I'd like to say about that. But they do try and set you up. They will tell you that they're going to be here, and they're not. There may be something going on there, or there may not be. It's hard to say.
And this is all through voice to skull, right? Not actually people.
That's correct. That's correct.
But they haven't been able to actually get you to maybe lose your temper or lose your train of thought and get you to act out in a way where you got arrested or sent to the hospital, right?
No, I have been warned by Whitman police in Whitman, Massachusetts, just to calm down. And this is what I tell everyone else now. I tell everyone, if you're going to go to the police, go there and act calmly. They are looking for emotions because they don't use any when they make their decisions. They're all logistical decisions. So if you go there and you're upset and your emotions are heightened and your anxiety is heightened, they will take an action, possibly.
What would be the best bet, or not bet, but like route of action if you have evidence? Let's say you're having a hard time finding a lawyer that'll hear your case, or how do you know if your evidence is admissible? I mean, do you do a lot of the research yourself on the internet first, or is there
no, you have
somebody that you could talk to that might actually help you out?
I'm trying to think. I had it on the tip of my tongue. A paralegal. If you can find a paralegal that you can go to and spend a few dollars, it's a lot better than going to a lawyer and spending hundreds of dollars. The average across the U.S. is $250 an hour. In Boston, it's $500 an hour for a lawyer. So you really got to find a paralegal and do the research with the paralegal.
And they could tell you like what evidence is admissible, the way it was obtained, or if it's been too long for a certain, maybe part of the case would be outdated by now because it was over a year ago or something like that. They could tell you all that information.
Yes, they could. And if you have a situation that's ongoing, all of that stuff will fall into it as part of it because the case is ongoing. I will say that. I did.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing in my case. It's all related.
Okay. We have Michael Hughes who would like to ask you a few questions. Go ahead, Mike.
Hello. Hey, everybody. Thank you, Frank. It's cool that you're an electrician, Whitney, and I know we were on the Sunday like 2 weeks ago together. I just wanted to say it's cool. Do you have any thoughts about grounding or body vault meters? Or could you elaborate on the neutral line in the house, how it's not actually a negative? It's like it's connected to the transformer.
Do you have a voltmeter and you're getting a reading between like the ground and the neutral?
No, I was just mixing it up for everybody to hear about body vault meters, or like it's kind of easy to just do it yourself and see if your body's getting voltage. But the other thing is the neutral line is the neutral line. It's not negative. It's not a ground. It's a live wire.
Yeah, well, that's where you're getting rid of your power is going to be going through there. The problem is you're getting a lot of like eddy currents with these the Wi-Fi piggybacking on the wires, and I think from the inversion of going from AC to DC to the cell towers and then coming back on the grid, and they call it dirty electricity, and that's what's building up a big magnetic field, and that's what we're feeling and being attacked with most of the time, and it could be dismissed as electrical hypersensitivity, but it's not. You're connected to this system, this grid, the infrastructure. They got your bioelectric resonance more than likely, and you're going to feel it a hell of a lot more than somebody that's just getting a little too much radiation.
Yeah.
As far as
the breaker box, like you turn the fridge line off and you physically feel such a relief.
Say that again?
On the breaker box, you isolate which circuit the refrigerator is on, and you just turn that one off, and you feel like a physical sense of relief.
Not where I'm at. That's on the first floor, but that should be by itself on its own circuit anyway. It should just be a 20 amp circuit. And that's the kind of stuff I'm trying to find out in my own place and living with other people is you can't just shut everything off and do tests on it like I was able to do in my old place. And try to figure out, is it going through all the wires of the house? How is this being done? Is it through the smart meter? Is it being piggybacked from the power lines? Is it satellite? I'm not sure how all this stuff works. I'm still researching it myself and trying to figure a lot of it out. Reading as much as I can. And
yeah, man.
Do you have a tri-field too?
I don't have a tri-field meter. I've seen them.
That's pretty good for the house as far as 60 hertz and the 120 volts, and at least getting a magnetic field reading, an electrical field reading. And you can try it on like your electronics, especially if you think they're being connected like on a network or hacked into, or there's any kind of like capacitance and stuff like that. I'm finding all kinds of weird stuff, and I'm writing it down, keeping records, and I'm also been taking my temperature a lot. If you notice, like your pulse goes up and down regularly, and so does your temperature. At the same time, you're feeling an attack, and you have, say, like a voltmeter, and you could also check the resistance in ohms, and then check the fields with the tri-field too, and see if there's any correlation with the attacks, and just keep writing it down. But then it's like, who do you turn it into?
No, yeah, that sounds accurate. And so the other thing you said about magnetic fields, that sounds accurate. Could you explain that again? I didn't quite. It was interesting, but I didn't quite understand like how the neutral line. It basically is like the negative on the AC line, but AC is going. It's just a pulse. Whether you're going forwards or backwards, it's still a 60 hertz pulse. So it's not like it's not a negative in the normal sense, but what they call it, daisy hops or whatever from every device on that circuit to but like I've heard, like if you think about it, even when the switches are off, that negative is still like a listening device on all your stuff in your house. It's still on the transformer live, all 24/7.
You're going to have capacitance in the wires. You're going to have it in your electronics. And with all the wireless frequencies going through pretty much any location at any time, whether it's your neighbor's Wi-Fi or scanners or your own wireless frequencies from your phone and stuff, that's what's all getting piggybacked on the wires and building up. As far as you're more than likely always going to get readings in there unless you can say like bleed the circuit to get it out of there.
It's cool to try to hunt it down. And one time I was at Liliana's house with Amy that does the audio engineering, and it was really funny because she had the tri-field, the low frequency magnetic. It's an analog meter, right? It's like a spring, not like an accurate needle. And as Lily was talking, the needle was moving. Like literally for a few seconds, I watched the needle move as she spoke on the low frequency magnetic. And when I realized what I was seeing, the needle started getting thrown to the max, like over and over, just pulse, like boom, 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 like a countermeasure or counter surveillance. But the experience I had was that they were looking through my eyes. And after that, the effect went way down, and I took a video of it with Amy's cell phone. And when I had to ask her for like a few weeks because she was traveling, because that was she had to go home to another state. And when she sent it to me, the video was corrupted and it was turned into a blurry JPEG. But I would even go a step further and say, like, what was true in that whole experience about the magnetic needle moving as she was speaking. I do believe magnetic fields are something very big to look into more for all of us, and it's confusing a little bit. Inductors are just a simple coil of wire. They should teach us this in school. Like, a simple coil of wire makes a magnetic field just because, like, that's just the way it is.
I'm even going back to some of my old books and reading up on a lot of stuff, like the scientific theory that, you kind of forget a lot of the stuff and a lot of the terms that you don't use all the time. And I've been reading this book on semiconductors and circuitry and all the, like, it talks about, like transistors, diodes, and all that kind of stuff, and trying to get more knowledge on that stuff, because that's more what we're dealing with here, as opposed to just the basic house wiring. There's so many different frequencies between the magnetic, the electric, and the radio frequencies all playing a part, that it just gets more and more complicated because there's so much of the spectrum being used. It makes it difficult to pinpoint a lot of the stuff. It's not a simple ball game.
Yeah, I've been in the tech team with Neil and Josh for a couple of years, and it's a lot of work, and it's so much that I guess like a lot of TIs aren't even able to do it, honestly. And personally, I'm not comfortable sitting on the computer many hours, because my career, my degree's in computers, but I have the voice of God weapon every day, and like they're like building it on my time on the computer, and it's a nightmare. And personally, I'm trying to get away from the computer. But if you're interested, there's a cyber torture group on Telegram, and they're looking for tech professionals that can run SDR. And it sounds like you're into it. And
what is that?
There's a lot. Oh, software-defined radio. It's able to do. It's not magnetic. You could probably buy one for money that does magnetic frequencies, but this is just the radio spectrum. The Hack RF for $200 is probably the best one. Every single second, it can sweep from 1 megahertz to 6 or 7 gigahertz. Every second. It's a lot of data, though. That's like so much, like that if you just think of it as a spreadsheet and you ran it for an hour, like that thing is like a few gigabytes of raw text. It's like 1 or 2 gigabytes of nothing but raw text. And so then you go into using cloud services like RapidMiner that can like data mine for you. But once you go out to the cloud, you've just made several agreements with your data for who exactly is handling it.
Yeah.
So that's just another thought.
That's something I really have. I started looking into it one time too, is to try to get better at understanding like your local area network, how the where does the data go? Where does it get compartmentalized? How does it get sold to third parties? What can you control as far as your computer, your browser, when you're signed in, and if you're on the network and all that kind of stuff. And I just never even got even that far because my computer keeps getting messed up and I have to turn it off. So it's trying to figure out a lot of this stuff on my own, and it's really slow. Really slow.
The cyber torture group on Telegram, anybody willing to put in time, they're very helpful. Like, they'll try to help you. I can help too. I'm good with Linux, and I suggest like all TIs think about Windows is probably just not a safe bet, and there's user-friendly Linux it might take you a day to and you'll probably be comfortable after that just to make the switch. And you can get it on a live USB and save all your stuff on a second drive, and every time you load that USB, it's like a fresh system. And that's I basically reinstall my system every 3 months or so. That's my basic plan.
Yeah. This one TI I met over the weekend on Saturday, he actually put a fresh version of Windows onto my laptop, and I'm kind of afraid to mess with any of the settings and do anything because I don't want it to end up like the last mess that I had. So I was kind of waiting until I see him again and ask him, any questions that I have or recommendations. So
I remember Josh had a good article on how to harden Windows, like how to make it more secure.
Is that the same for 7 or 10?
I love 7. They should have just stuck with 7. Yeah, I think 10. It was for 10.
What was that website that you were talking about with the cyber torture group?
So Telegram is an encrypted chat program that you could actually have a chat group of like 30,000 people on there, and then host like a video conference for free. So it's better than Signal. It's better than Facebook.
Okay. Is that guy?
And then
you ever go on? Go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I think the website is telegram.org, and there's a web interface, web.telegram.org. But it has like nice apps, but apps are always like questionable because they're basically selling our data to Silicon Valley and China and the DoD.
Yeah, it's the other thing. It's like between Central Clearinghouse and then there's like Cambridge Analytica in the UK, and there's apparently a US-UK agreement. What about all the stuff in between there? Like Brian Kaufman talks about this digital security controls and stuff, and all these other places.
I haven't heard Brian Kaufman talking about that.
Yeah, apparently it was a local DSC, I think he called it on the one video, and I looked it up, and there was 3 of them not far from where I live.
Oh, the PRISM stuff where they basically record everything on the internet permanently every day.
That might be part of it.
And then they feed it to the supercomputer with the smart dust in our brain data.
I don't know enough about PRISM to know if it's like the NSA program or if it's Echelon or all of the above.
Yeah, I think we are talking about the same thing.
I'm not really talking about any of it. I just heard a little bit about it.
Okay, Mike, if you want to get back in line, you can't because Q&A ends at midnight. The call keeps on going. But we have one more behind you that I'd like to look back in. Deborah has a couple more questions, I guess. Thank you very much, Michael.
Well, you know, it took so long, and I was so interested in what Michael was saying that I forgot my question. You were talking about electric meters. And what I understand is that EMF, they can do something with old phone lines to create dirty electric around you if you have those in your house. And I was just wondering if anybody would know how that they would do that.
Are they still hooked up, or are they just is the wire in the walls and in the building itself?
They look like they're still hooked up. And I also heard that even though you have an old dish antenna that you're not using, it can still, there was one on my old apartment. As a matter of fact, there were two of them. And they were facing each other. And this is when my targeting first started in Maplewood, Missouri. And I went out there and took them off of the roof. I unbolted them and disconnected their wires. I thought, okay, so if they're not being used, why are they still grounded, right? I'm not Einstein, but that didn't make sense to me. So I just disconnected everything and unbolted them.
Did it make a difference?
Oh, my goodness, yes.
But did you check it with any types of meters or measuring devices, or did you just feel the difference?
No, I just felt the difference. And it was remarkably different. I wasn't shaking, I wasn't vibrating. The other thing is, I don't know what they do to the refrigerator, but it's like they weaponize it. And I realized that because there is a motor in there, there's a coil. But what I also noticed is while everybody was talking, I glanced out my window, and the neighbor downstairs was sitting in her car with her car running. And the other night she did that. She was doing that. I couldn't hardly stand it. It was so horrible. And as soon as I opened my shade and pulled out my phone to take a picture, she turned her car off, and I felt immediate relief.
Okay.
And, yeah, so if you could explain that maybe, that would be interesting to know, because sometimes my car feels like it's attacking me. But I can actually, I'm not sure what they're doing, but I figured out a way to trip it and turn it off. So, but if you could speak into what those things I just said, that would be great. Thanks.
What was that part about the car again?
Which part?
You were saying something about the car across the street.
No, she was in her car parked behind our building, and the dew felt like it was just almost unbearable. And when I went to the window, I saw her out there, and I grabbed my phone, and I pulled up the shade to take her picture. And when she saw me, she turned her car off, and I felt immediate relief.
I definitely couldn't do anything on that. Anybody else?
And sometimes her headlights have like this funny yellow cast to them.
That sounds a little bit out there. Not that it didn't happen or that something didn't happen, but I can't comment on that either. Okay, Whitney, do you have anything else you'd like to say to the folks before we get out of Q&A?
Thanks for having me on. I'll still be listening.
Yeah, definitely. Still speak if you want. Okay, thank you so much. And definitely, I will text you, and I want to talk to you tomorrow if you could.
Sounds good.
All right, we'll talk. Okay, anybody that would like to speak, I'm going to mute the whole room once again, and you'll be able to *6 to unmute.
Frank?
Hi, Walter. How you doing?
Good. Just sharing, with on the chat room about your CD and the special headphones they have to get. I got the $19 ones from Amazon.
Okay.
If you can explain that a little bit more, because they're looking to know which ones. I'm going to put the link up.
What you should do is just go to Dave Case's site, and if you go to Targeted Massachusetts, there's a link there, but I can get the link for you here. Hold on a second.
So that would really pose. Well, I mean, if I go into Walgreens, are they going to know that I'm Rh negative O? And
sorry about that. That was my error.
Hello?
Yep.
Hello?
Hold on a second. Okay, Walter, I'm putting the link in the chat, but I'm going to read it. And it's anti-tinnitus v2k.com. Anti-tinnitus v2k.com.
Hey, Frank.
Yes, sir.
Dave has another website that is meant for the tinnitus suffering victims, which he's helped a lot of them in the UK.
Okay.
But that one has a 800 megabyte WAV file that helps me way more than the MP3 version that I've tried to make myself. And it's tinnitusmix.com.
Okay, that's great.
But everyone should still go donate to him.
Yeah, he's definitely, he's given out thousands of CDs for free and mailed them out for free over the years. But he worked himself into debt. And the only thing he is charging you right now is shipping and handling. That's all. I'm trying to see whether there are any special ways that you can get it. Okay, I'm not seeing anything. International shipping is $35.
Frank, is this Dave from New York?
Hi. How you doing?
No. I was asking if he's talking about with that disc, the tinnitus. Is that the guy from New York?
I'm not sure where he's from, actually. I really
Missouri. He's from Missouri.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, he's a great...
Michael, what was that, I'm sorry, Frank, what was that website again the second one, the one that Michael gave?
I'm not familiar with the one that Michael gave.
tinnitusmix.com.
tinnitusmix.com.
Thank you.
Okay, you guys, I'm going to make a fresh pot of coffee because I am out. And if any of you know me, you'll know that I have to have it. And I'll be right back. Give me about 3 minutes. Go ahead, have some fun.
Anthony, you still on?
Is this Rob from Middle Island? Oh, someone just asked if Anthony was on. I thought that was me.
What's that?
I'm Anthony from Manaville, New York. Yeah. How you
Yeah,
doing?
the same one.
Is this Whitney?
I didn't know if you were the one that I talked to on, I think it was Monday night.
I think so. What's your name again?
Whitney.
Okay, I think I did. Yeah. If you want to call me, I'll give my cell phone number. I don't care.
Yeah, I have it. I thought it was you, but sounded like your voice, so I wasn't positive.
Yeah, it's me. Yeah. Yeah. And very good calls tonight, man. Very productive calls, I think. It gives you info, stuff like that.
When you're on this, do you sometimes, you start getting hit and you move like inside or outside?
Thank God I'm not getting hit with DEWs. It's just purely what they call core stalking. I don't know if you know about it, but they're trying to change my behavior and stuff like that. Like, because I was too aggressive in how I approach things with drug dealing and how to end it and stuff like that. I do nothing illegal though. I think we're a little overboard to trying to control my behavior. But you know what? After 20 years, I'm an innocent person. Hello. They got to lay off of it now because I'm more controlled now and only go after things that matter. And right now we're faced with this gang stalking. That's my number one priority. Everything else doesn't matter to me anymore like it used to. So I'm putting all that energy I have and knowledge, put to good use now. So after 20 years, man, you know all their tactics. And I really liked what Donna had to say about I put in requests for calls that were made from this house because a Suffolk County PO came to my house one night and said, there was a 911 call from this house. And when I wouldn't let him in, he tried to come in, but I locked the door. Good thing, before he came. I didn't know he was coming, though. Oh, I'm sorry, it's the next building over, I think because our group was really reaching out to people, and they were afraid. So they're trying to scare me, maybe come to the house, see what was in the house, and say, something like that. But I'm just...
You talking about a probation or a police officer?
I was a PO, yeah. Oh, no, I was a police officer, Suffolk County, from the 7th Precinct. I should have got his badge number, but then I would have opened the door to see it, so I didn't want him to have that entry point there, So, I try to do little physical interaction with police. I think a good way is to get a FOIA request or a police record of our calls from this house. And I think that's important because, there's been other times where, there was something stolen from my house and they said they were going to follow up on it. But when I filed a FOIA request to get the phone calls, that didn't show up on it. And the guy coming to my house didn't show up on it. So, I'm going to do what she suggested and, go higher up if needed, do the chain of command. And if that doesn't work, at least I establish the normal routine, and then I'll go to my county legislator out here in Manaville, So, yeah. So.
What do you think the county legislators going to actually accomplish or help you with?
Well, I have a contact there now because she told me spoke before the county legislator, and she said I sounded very effective, and they have an inkling that this, because in order for them to doing reinvention of the police, there's got to be a problem there, and they recognize that the county executive here, Steve Ballone in Suffolk County. And I think that's why the police commissioner left her job in the future. And within the next couple of days, she's going to become Hofstra professor or president of the university. So she realized that time's up, I think, and she's moving out.
What do you mean time's up?
That this is going to be exposed because we're so formidable, our group, and I think they're afraid. And I think that's why the harassment of me and some other people, 3 or 4 people, they're trying to discredit us with neighbors and in certain places, like restaurants and stuff, where I brought it to her attention, the owner and stuff like that. So I think we're really being effective in our message, and they're afraid. Because now the DEA is Tim Sini in Suffolk County, and he was the former police commissioner of Suffolk County, and he knows about this, but now I think they put him as DA. Just kind of not really go after this when it's brought to her attention, like quiet it and stuff like they've always done. So
yeah, they're probably only interested in drug busts. That's why.
Yeah, but they take notice.
The DA here where I'm at, that's all they care about. Their vice unit, all they're doing is whatever they're told to do.
Controlling drugs and stuff like that. They're really not going against it where to solve it. Just to control it, just so people stay happy. You know, rest here and there, but they're not. I don't know if they're afraid or just they don't want to cause riots. I don't know, but they're very subdued in their approach in Suffolk County. You know. Yeah.
Hey man, I got a question for you. Do you have your phone? Do you have it on speaker? Or is it like far away from you?
No, I'm talking loud. It's not on speaker. Maybe I have the volume too low. I'll check.
Yeah, because I got mine all the way up and I have it on speaker, so it's not right in my head, and I'm having a hard time hearing you. It's like quiet.
Yeah, because sometimes they, like I tried it on the radio one day. Dana Lowe, she's a conservative commentator, nationwide talk show, and they were going to put me on. I was going to expose, what about, I call it community-based stalking instead of gang stalking. I mentioned the 7 priests being involved. They felt it was important. They were going to put me on. Then my phone went blank, dead. Right after said, all right, Anthony, you're on. It went dead. And the next day, I'm driving north on the road here in Suffolk County, and there's a car coming south, and at the last possible second, he's coming really fast at me. Last possible second, he pulls away and gives me the finger and is laughing. So they're trying to scare me. I know they're not going to hurt me physically, but trying to put a scare in me, but it doesn't work after 20 years, man, And I'm not fearful anymore. I confront it. And I think we get an effective message, and they're afraid, especially when we spoke to the county. I mean, my harassment has increased significantly, tenfold. Because legislators there who heard us talk, one of them gave me the thumbs up when I was talking, because she's a member. She was a member of my group before it was hijacked, and she knows something's going on. And I send her a link about the predictive policing in Florida, so it gives it more authenticity of what we're going through. I think she can help us in the long run, So.
What was that? What do you say in Florida? You said, the place is called.
He's a person who's a targeted individual is suing the sheriff of a county in Florida, and the article is titled "Predictive Policing." If you Google that in Florida of a sheriff being sued in a lawsuit, you'll come up in Google. And it gives us more authentication when I go to the legislator, and I'm going to send them, maybe present it as, being that it's on Zoom, you can't present it in the formal setting. It's on Zoom, so I'm going to hand it to them personally. It gives more credence to what we're saying, So, establish as a rapport with them that what we're saying is true, and it's more believable that they're, because right now, when you have a complaint against an officer, PO, you can go before the Human Rights Commission, but they set it up where it's not. They don't have no prosecutorial authority. It's referred back to the police, who have to press charges, and it's up to the DA to prosecute. They're not going to do that. So it's just like a fake thing that got set up. But we're going to keep on them every month, and with people who are being harassed by PD. We ask that they get the badge numbers and stuff like that. We're going to present that to them. Because also, when we spoke, the Suffolk County Police Commissioner reacted to our comments. They had to, and I'm going to get that transcript. I've been vented for doing that on my computer because they have it hacked. So I'm going to go to the county legislature and get a transcript of it so I can see how she responded. You know, I want to see how she responded. Yeah, but now she left as police commissioner, I think, because of all this pressure on her. So I think we're being very effective, and we're targeted in what we're doing, and I think that's important. You know, because there's a lot of shit going on here. And I want to connect with real people to keep me real and not become overwhelmed by this shit. You know? So that's all I got to say.
I'm getting, like, just here, I was outside, then I was inside. And
they're messing with my phone. That's why. They're messing with my phone, the volume. They're messing with my cell phone, my home phone, messing with my computer, my freaking cell phone with the fucking TV. It turns on and off. It changes channels.
Yeah. That's because anything can be connected, man. It's basically the network in your house.
You know why they're attacking us so aggressive? We got a fucking message, man, and they're afraid. And that's when they're vulnerable. And then I'm gonna attack even harder on these motherfuckers. When they're vulnerable, they make mistakes. I'm waiting for them to fucking make mistakes, and I'm gonna get a disposable camera. You know, and I think I said before when I was outside the bodega on Railroad Avenue, going to get my normal shit. I go there every morning for breakfast and shit. And there's an officer that pulls up. The same time I'm going in, he knows where I am with the GPS and shit. Not to intimidate me this time, though. It must have been a good officer. He took his hand out the window and he gave me a thumbs up. Because he's a good officer and he wants this shit exposed. I also have 3 or 4 Suffolk County officers who are a member of my anti-stalking group. And we had over 683 members, not only targeted individuals, but fucking doctors, lawyers. That's why you got to reach the public, because they don't believe us, you know, because they're not experienced what we're experiencing. And, you know, I think it's important to go after not go after, but bring awareness to the public. And the same, not be appear crazy, because we have to keep calm. We have a more effective message. I think we're doing that, and that's why they're afraid, the Suffolk County PD, and that's why she left as police commissioner, because we're exposing this shit. You know what I mean? I'm sorry.
What was the name of that group? You said there was a group of
it was on
a bunch of people.
They hacked it. They took me off as control. They put someone else in control. I can't post anything on it. And it's called the LIC. Okay. It's called, if you look on Facebook, I don't have access to it, but it's called LIC Against Community-Based Stalking and Covert Harassment. And it'll come up and you'll see some guy from Kentucky in charge of it. Yeah.
Okay,
so
well,
BS,
that's just good information for other people, you know, to check it out if they have that.
But what I'm going to do now, because I contacted a consumer advocacy group on Google, and they gave me a link to a Facebook, because you can't call them on the phone. They gave me a link for someone on Facebook, but the email disappeared from my phone. And I forgot who it was, so I'm going to go to my therapist tomorrow. She fully believes in what I'm experiencing, because she's a trauma expert with PTSD, and I had that myself. And I'm going to have them send the email to her. You know what I mean? And then we'll work from there. But, okay. But they probably hacked her phone. What they do is the people you call, the 3 more people you call the most, they have access to that phone too. Cause I think it's called Roman. They can access any phone without a warrant for 3 people you call the most when you're a targeted individual at this level of our, because they consider it as a grave threat or a terrorist threat, and all stuff made up, of course. But they're able to do that without a warrant. You know, I think it's called a Roman. I forget what it's called, Roman something. They can do that, you know, under the new Patriot Act, I think. You know. So, yeah, that's why they know when I'm doing certain things and stuff like that. You know?
Yeah, well, they hear everything you're saying on your phone. I mean, all our phones are tapped. They hear everything. They know your plans. So whatever you're planning on doing, they'll probably try to intercept. My suggestion would be to keep it as quiet as you can until you get it accomplished.
Right, and that's important. Yeah, not to be too outlandish and stuff like that. Keep focused, which I am thank God for my therapist, Very important to have a good therapist who believes you. And I think the Blessed Mother sent me to her because I used to be with a clinic, and they just put me on more meds because they thought it was a paradox. I didn't know what gang stalking was, though, so I can understand and believe in that. But now when I went to my therapist, she didn't believe me at first, but I kept showing her documents of actual cases, lawsuits like Kathleen Waterson and Jim Guess, who had that guy out in Missouri. Actually stuff that can be verified. And I showed the links with William Shatner exposing organized stalking on I think what channel it was streaming on ESPN, one of those channels. And I shared it on my page too. And something verifiable which she can believe in, and she keeps testing me to see if, like, oh, you said that before, stuff like that. So she believes what I'm saying fully. Cameras and everything, covert harassment in my job. I quit my job. I'm going to quit my job because I'm going on permanent disability because I don't think I can survive another 5 years where I'm going to retire. I'm going to retire early. I get enough money in there to take care of myself without medical, but I'll be okay. And she gave me fortitude, and my psych doesn't believe me, but I trust her. And very much so, because she's aligned with my therapist. They're like very friendly and shit, But I think I'm starting to instill in her that someone can't be experiencing for 20 years without showing some signs of PTSD, like where it's believable. Though it's like it's real fear, but sometimes it perceives as paranoid schizophrenic. But it's normal to have fear with what we're going through, and she beginning to believe it's more. Not paranoid schizophrenic, that it's real because of what we're going through and stuff. So, yeah.
Well, I think part of it, the verification, comes from more and more cases and more people talking about it. Just plain and simple that not everybody could be that crazy. You know, more and more people are exposing it.
Worldwide, there's got to be 500,000 or 250,000 that we know of, right? So.
Yeah.
So yeah.
They say 3% of the population.
Yeah, and that's good. Yeah, I like that. But I like to keep things when I'm approaching things. I don't dwell too much on the emotional aspect because it draws me down to where they want you to be. And my therapist has taught me to get power within myself and overcome it, not avoid the fear, but face it. And she wrote down this thing for me that really helps me. I have it in my wallet. When I really do feel, I'm going to succumb, I read this. It's going to take a second to get it out, so please wait. Let me see.
Well, I'm trying to remember this. Do you have it in front of you?
I keep things in my wallet now so they don't steal from my
Oh,
apartment.
okay. Well, here, maybe you can fill in the blanks on this saying that says something about just because you're paranoid doesn't mean you're not in danger.
Right, and also, I don't need other people believing me anymore, thanks to her. As long as I believe it and I stay sane, we get more effective messages out. And what she wrote to me, when I'm starting to feel down and shit, when they're, covertly harassing, she said, think of a pink light. And imagine in the pink light, shine it onto the person as unconditional love. Remember. So I try to memorize that saying, so when I'm feeling that way, it gives me the strength and fortitude I need to get through this and expose them for what they are. Cowards. Is that
you brought up something that's very important that I've been trying to say to people for years, and that is you've got to stay level-headed and not not spiral out of control because that's what they want. They want you to be just reacting and overreacting and repeating that.
I get them to react now, and that's important. I make sure people are watching up. I stay sane, so they're the ones that are the problem, and I've been effective in doing that.
Yeah.
And also,
I used to be too much mania, like too much intensity where it wasn't focused. That's where the mania sets in. But now I'm more focused intensity. Because when I feel the mania coming on, I said what she said about the pink light, and I think positively. That's why I always interact with people nicely. But when I feel someone's a gang stalker, just be nice, but don't fall into their game. You know what I mean? Right. Yes, I think that's important.
Yeah, not express that you're feeling threatened. I see people drive by me all the time, and usually wave a peace sign or a little nod. I know that they're on the job, but I don't bother them. They don't bother me. So we just, I recognize them. Not all of them. I don't pay that much attention anymore. But the ones that I do make eye contact with, it's usually pretty positive because I just keep it that way.
Right, because they think you have an effective message. And maybe they want to get out of this, but they don't know how, or they're afraid of their career. And that's what I felt from that officer the other day. He gave me the thumbs up, like I'm on the right track, I think. Because they're afraid to come
forward. They
They
probably know, and they just don't have, they probably just don't have a way to fix it. They just know, you're doing your best, they're doing their best, and they're just in a job that they can see both sides, At least the people on the ground. I think that.
Yeah, but they're also sworn to protect and serve and uphold the Constitution. They take an oath under the Constitution. They also take a state oath for something, and they have the police oath they got to do. And if I was a cop, I would either resign or expose it, I would wear a wire or something to expose them. That's what they did in I think Westchester, a local PD out there, small, I think not a big town, and there was a lot of drug dealing and stuff like that. And the guy was maligned. He was, I guess, sort of gang stuff, but he didn't know what it was called. And they harassed him, everything to scare him. He eventually wore a wire because he knew it was a threat to them. And he exposed the shit. And he posted the DA. They wouldn't do anything. So I think he went to the newspaper or something, and he had enough evidence, video recording, stuff like that, or audio shit. And apparently they fixed it. It was in, I think, Newsweek or Time 2 or 3 months ago. There was this feature article on the front page, if you want to reference it. Yeah. No, it was Esquire. It was Esquire magazine, yeah. Yeah, I have the article, yeah. So I think I have to reach those people who are not antisocial but anti-cop, but want, what am I looking for? Who really
they want a good story.
Really,
if they want
change.
A good...
Yeah. Like real change, not like some facsimile they've put on to make it look like they're doing something. I think that's what the Suffolk County's doing now. Just make it look like they're doing something, but we're going to keep on them every month. I think that's important. Like we're going to say to them, well, what's the Suffolk County Police have done on this, stuff like that, kind of hold them to the fire. Because the Suffolk County legislator can ask people from the police department to appear before them when they approve their budgets. And maybe it could be more, show up in a group like 15 of us. And when COVID's over, we'll be able to speak at a podium for 3 minutes. I think it's important for all 15 of us, when one person speaks, every subsequent person speaks, all of us get up there, maybe with signs. You can have signs in these county legislative meetings, like save a target individual or something like that. And also we can present to each of the legislators, print stuff that's been, like the thing in policing in Florida, stuff like that, where they can relate to its newspaper report and stuff like that. And also we'll have it like a candle, like maybe a electric candle, because they probably won't let real candles in there, to show solidarity that we have amongst ourselves and what we need from the legislators, So, that's about it for me.
Okay.
Hey, guys, can I interrupt you quick?
Yeah, we're just hanging out.
My phone's gonna be dead. I gotta get off it. It passed like an hour and a half, man. I gotta get off this wire. The frequency is getting me, man. What time does this call go till?
What?
What time does this call go till?
Approximately 1 tonight. Because Friday we run really late.
All right. I'll be listening Friday then. Thanks, Frank.
Okay. Thank you so much for appearing tonight. You had so good information. Okay, I think that we've had a really great evening tonight. We've had content from many, many people. I was just trying to catch something that went in the chat. Anybody who has a topic they'd like to range by everyone, that's great.
Does that mean you're gonna shut it down in about 30 minutes? Is that it?
Yeah. I don't know where you live, but that will be 1 a.m. in Massachusetts, and what we'll do Friday night, sometimes 3 or 4 a.m.
Okay. It's only 10 o'clock here. That's why I come in toward the end of your call sometime, but I appreciate your staying up later on Friday night. That's good. That helps us. We're West Coast.
Oh, that's right, too.
Yeah.
Frank?
Yes, sir.
I just want to say thank you. I mean, I'm in the West Coast. It's 9:30 here. I mean, I could be on the calls and still go to sleep if I still had that job, but I appreciate you being up at 1, 2 in the morning. I see you guys and just want to let you know that we really appreciate you.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You can't hear me, can you? No.
Yes, I can.
Okay, sir. Yeah, it's been very informative, and I really appreciate calling in tonight because I learned a lot of stuff that I didn't know, you know.
Well, Anthony, call in all the time. Mm-hmm. And if we have a special guest, get in that Q&A line as many times as you want.
I think it's important to have H. Michael Sweeney on. He was on our call, and he's he has a flowing, interesting. He can go on for an hour and just talk about stuff. He talks more technical stuff and how to fight back with the electronic stuff and stuff like that. But he doesn't keep it boring. He keeps it interesting. Keep people engaged. I think is important. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. To keep people engaged is the whole idea.
Yeah.
And I used to get on like a West Coast call and be on speaking for 3 or 4 hours. The perps now step all over my thoughts, and they withhold complete sentences, and it makes it very difficult for me.
Right. Well, they're afraid, I think, and the time is coming within, I'd say, 3 to 4 years. This is all going to be out, I think. I also spoke to a guy on the phone. I was able to get through and speak to him. He's called Joe Concha. He's a columnist, I believe, with The Hill. He's been on Fox News a lot. He's obviously a conservative. But that doesn't matter to me because he's approachable and real person, whether he's conservative or not. And I think that's important. And I spoke to about for 5-10 minutes, and he didn't believe what I was saying because they have get to have research people when you're on the phone, researching what you're saying. They must have looked up gang stalking. Oh, this is too crazy, because they saw the New York Times article where they compared the tinfoil hats. And, I went on and I explained to him, kept it sane. I didn't talk about DEW. I just talked about contract stalking, community-based stalking, and workplace mob and that sort of thing, street theater and stuff. And then he researched, there's a lot of people complaining about this. There's got to be something to it. And you know what? The whole call was basically on that issue because people called in and they said, that guy, I've heard that before, something like that. And 2 or 3 callers said the same thing.
You know what I mean? So I think he became interested in, or like objective to it, that it is possible. And so now I'm becoming more friendly when on Facebook. He won't become my friend though, because I only have a pen name on there. And he probably searched me, for see if a real person and stuff. So maybe he became disillusioned with my name being a pen name, because I don't want the officers to come and harass me at work. Give them a reason to. Oh, this guy Anthony, might go to the GM and say, oh, this Anthony, I was going to say bad things about cops. That's why I put a pen name on there, not to give them a reason to bring me in disfavor with the company. And I sent him. He had on his show one night, as a guest as a commentator on Fox News. He talked about sex trafficking and how not a people are reporting on it and stuff. And I sent him a link where they made arrests in another state. It kind of established a rapport with him, though. You know what I mean? So I want to keep that going. So
yeah, that's good.
I think it's important to call.
Hey, Frank, I got a question for you. Yeah. Are you still doing that show on Freedom Slips? Because we tried you on Sunday. You weren't there.
Yeah, I mentioned it to everybody. I thought that they are a bunch of hillbillies, and it's an antique studio, and I have no interest in being any part of it.
Okay, so you let that go, I guess. That's fine.
Yep.
I missed your announcement, so I called in on Sunday, and I didn't hear anything. So
sorry about that. Yeah,
no problem.
It's the type of situation where, I mean, they don't even have call-in listener lines. Do you believe it?
Mm-hmm.
So I had to light up free conference call and stream it to free conference call just so some people could hear it. And everybody.
Yeah. So why would they broadcast with a schedule and then not have anybody hear it? I don't get that.
They don't make sense even to each other. There are 4 or 5 that are replacing somebody that was actually the founder. The founder passed on a couple of years ago, and the whole place is a tribute to the founder. And I had to tell the webmaster to take down the .htm from the old site because it was still coming up, the old site. Mm. So he got rid of the HTM, and I think that made him angry that it now worked. But I just kept coming up with things. I said, look, guys, you don't even have producers. You don't have anything. And I says, back when Ella was here, there was a producer, and she announced it. Her producer would call you, and you'd be in Studio B. And so they don't know what a board op is, and board op is another word for producer. So they don't have anybody. So I had to buy my own telephone lines for callers to call in and ask a question. So it just got to be, I finally said, all right, this is enough. I've had it. And
with all the technology that you're aware of, you might think about, establishing, I don't know, if maybe you can do some kind of broadcasting thing through one of your web pages. I mean, we're already doing conferencing, but maybe there's a way to link up with, because I've seen these like home studio websites where you can do that, but then you'd have to promote it, right, and get everybody to
that's
figure
easy.
out how to.
Promotion part. The general public is something else again, but where you stream to is important. Like Ella actually does it from one place, but she streams to iHeart.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of ins and outs to it.
Yeah. I think there's a way to do it where you're streaming from a studio board, right? like a online board. But then it links up through something like an RSS or podcast feed, and multiple podcast feeds, that just go out simultaneously when you're online.
Right.
Or maybe it just saves the audio and then people can download the MP3s.
Yeah, that's an idea too. And I've toyed with the idea of just start doing YouTube videos.
Uh-huh.
Not audios, audio and video. And stream that around. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I have mixed feelings about YouTube. I know it's very popular, lots and lots of people are on there, but you also have a lot of competition. You have censorship. You have
Did I say YouTube?
Oh.
I didn't mean YouTube. I'm banned from YouTube right now because
okay.
I'm censored from there. I can't load anything.
Oh. All right, you said YouTube. So what was the other site you were thinking of?
Well, there's a place called New YouTube or New Tube or whatever they call it, but they have a limit of 1 gigabyte. So that's not very much when it comes to audio. It gets chewed up really fast.
Yeah,
so,
it does.
Yeah, YouTube, unfortunately, was unlimited. They had very few rules in the beginning, and now they have all these censorship rules that make it almost... So I don't...
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, that's okay, you didn't.
Yeah, there's a couple other places that are video. Yeah, again, I mean, if you're not afraid of doing the promotion and getting it out there so people can find you, because it seems to be a kind of a daunting task for people to, how do you compete with millions and millions of other broadcasters who want to be famous, And everybody's got an opinion, and how do you get cut through and stand out above those? That's what I think would be the problem.
Yeah, we have to just get through to our immediate targeted audience and then get through to the outside, we'll say. That's what I'm concerned is as long as the targets get it in the beginning, that's what I'm concerned with. And at some point after that, or during, actually, is how you get a following.
Yeah, right.
Republic was great, but that was 5 nights a week, and we got censored there too. So.
Oh yeah. Did they censor you? Did they personally censor you, or that was like an oversight of some kind?
Maybe their oversight committee, but it was censorship for sure. They didn't like. They didn't understand targeting, so they didn't understand the sexual connotations that weren't there. I mean, there were attacks to genitals. There wasn't, graphic detail, So, I mean, if somebody comes on and they explain what their targeting is all about, and they come up with they attack my genitals, that's not wrong. That's, part of being targeted. So
it's just a fact, yeah.
It's a fact.
Mm-hmm. Well, you'll find another venue somewhere, I'm sure. I mean, you've got a lot to share. You've got a great voice. Somehow the right thing will come along.
I'm sure it will, and I appreciate that, and I thank you so much, Sue. You're always a plus when you're here. I mean, it's always great to have you.
Thanks. I appreciate that you're keeping the calls open on a regular basis. You're consistent. You always try to keep it.
Yeah, I try to be, and when I'm not, I try and, to see if Lily's around, if Lily can fill in. And, yeah, if Lily's filling in, it's because I'm getting really slammed around. So,
yeah.
It has been.
Yeah, well, anybody who sticks their neck out usually gets slapped, slapped around, because you're standing out.
Yeah, we have to. That's what the difference is. We have to stand up. We have to stand out and stick our necks out. And actually hope you get them cut off. Because if you do get your neck cut off, at least you know where it's coming from and you can fight back.
Yeah. Well, that's a real truth about being in this program. You know that pretty much anything that goes wrong in your life is not your fault anymore. Like it used to be, that fuzzy gray area, what did I do, what's plausible, how much am I responsible for these problems? And then slowly but surely you figure out that pretty much all the problems in your life are being caused by somebody else, and it's not you. It's not your fault. It's nothing you did wrong. And that's what TIs have to learn. They have to internalize the fact that they didn't do anything wrong to be targeted, and they're not doing anything wrong to protect themselves.
Yeah, exactly. And most TIs don't get that. They think that they've done something wrong in life, and this is happening to them. That's not the case.
Right.
Either you, there are a lot of different theories on this. Either you are a target to begin with because of the government, or in the private sector you've actually aggravated someone to the point where they have had you attacked. Somebody has gone to one of these nefarious sites who says, did your neighbor hit your car or something like that? Or, who do you want to get back at? These are typical titles for these nefarious websites.
Mm.
But those are just a couple areas that, I have known to be true. And the last one is you're in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah, just an opportune victim of opportunity.
Yeah, and I wanted to say a lot got mentioned this evening about AC voltage. And something that should be researched is the Lilly wave, because the Lilly wave runs hand in hand with AC power. I mean, Dr. Lilly found it, but it resides around a band around AC power lines. And the common line is actually the ground that goes back to your provider. The neutral is actually a ground that goes down into the ground. It's usually hooked to your water pipes. And the hot is obviously your black. You can grab onto the white one, it won't hurt you. You can grab on to the neutral, it won't hurt you. Or together, it won't hurt you. But stay away from the black one. The black one will kill you, especially if it's 220, like to an oven. An oven is usually the only 220 line that you have, unless you have an air conditioner that's humongous and old.
Yeah, sometimes if I have to, I'll get around next to the refrigerator and ground myself against the side of it, or even just for protection. But
right.
I'll hold on to the metal, ground myself out.
Exactly. 220 is the only form that's available in a house that can run without a ground, without a common. It's two lines. It's two black lines. Okay, we'll just say to make it simple. They're not colored that way. It's usually a red and a black. But those are the only two that can run, or the only power selection that does not need common to run or the neutral to run. Stay away from 220. It's the most deadly that you have in your home. That's why if you're cleaning your oven, make sure you're doing it safely. If you're doing anything with that plug behind the stove, make sure you're doing that safely with gloves, because people have been killed in a split second by 220. Nasty stuff.
I don't mess with those things. I got enough electricity. I got enough electricity in my life.
Yep, I bet. Yep, there's enough static on your body every time you hop in the shower. You dump.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Electricity right there. Yeah. Well, what's new with you, Sue?
Oh, not much. Just hanging out right now with all of you. Spring weather, doing, yard work, starting some flowers, things like that. Painted the porch, just doing little projects before it gets too hot. And just maintaining, maintaining every day.
I just learned that my daughter was found to be positive of COVID, and she says it's just a common cold to her. So she has it. And,
okay. So she's going to be, it's a mild form of it, so she'll probably come through, right?
Oh, yeah, it was like the common cold, she said. I just felt lousy and, cold symptoms, and that's about it. So that's what I call real herd immunity. She'll come through that and not need a vaccine.
Right, yeah.
Because this vaccine doesn't even have actually a real internal target. It was all computer generated, most of it.
Yeah, that's why they have so many different symptoms. They're like all up and down the board of symptoms. And so it's different for different groups. I guess genetic differences also, how it affects, races, communities. It must be genetically modified.
Right. People that immigrated here from Europe probably have very stout immune systems that have been passed on generation to generation, because they had the plague over there, the Black Plague, the Red Death. I mean, you name it, they had it over there.
So yeah, that's an interesting way to look at it. I mean, how many generations have built up immunity over the years and then pass it on?
Yeah, exactly. We don't know race to race what their homelands have actually fought off. We don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Diseases from China.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Diseases from China are sketchy. Other continents we really don't know. The only ones that we know for sure are Australia. And that's a little vague because you have the outback. And that's a whole different situation. So there are many areas with many different kinds of genetic forms of automatic antibodies or antibodies.
Yeah. Well, that's why, switching over to nutrition and genetics, that's why a certain diet might be healthy for one group, but not for another. So, for instance, if your ancestors were hunters, then, you would be probably desiring, craving certain kinds of heavier foods. Whereas if your ancestors were more, say they were vegetarian types, or they depended a lot on dairy products, then you would have that in your genes as well. See, it's not really fair to say, oh, you should only eat, grapefruits. Well, these specialized diets are not designed for everybody. They're designed for whichever group decided that was going to work for them, or they could make money on it. Sorry, my cat just jumped on me again.
But
what
kind of cat do you have?
She's just an American long hair. But she likes when I talk, so she jumps on me.
Usually they don't like you
Go
to
ahead.
do it. They don't like you to do anything other than pet them. If they see you with the newspaper, they'll definitely jump, stand on all over the newspaper so you can't read it. I don't know.
Well, that's true a lot of times. But for some reason, she especially likes to be on top of me when I'm on the phone. She just, for some reason, wants to be part of the conversation.
Yep, good vibrations.
I guess so.
Yeah, you're always upbeat when you speak.
Oh, I'm not that upbeat. I could be better. I can always be better than that.
I have never heard you be less than really upbeat.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, that's, you've learned the positive attitude. You've learned it, and it's part of you. So that's, I don't think that was learned either. That came along with you, genetically. A lot of people
could be.
Yeah, naturally upbeat, naturally, vivacious, naturally. That's just the way some people are,
Yeah. Well, I feel I have a responsibility to express and transmit a certain range of frequencies, because I'm very aware that we are antennas, we're receiving and transmitting like antennas, and that we are in a place, a precarious point, where we have to choose which frequencies are we going to broadcast, because that's going to multiply. It's going to multiply to all the hearts and minds that are listening, to the ears, the eyes, the emotions, the hope and faith that anybody hears. And if we can lift somebody up one notch or 5 notches from where they were, then that vibration has got a purpose. It has meaning and a purpose. So I'm just really conscious of that, and I've been that way for probably 25 years. And I train myself in it, Even if I don't feel good, I'll try to still choose what I'm going to say and how. What energy am I going to tune into and send it. Because we're all everything is energy. Everyone is made of energy, and now we're in environments that are amplified to the point where every word is potent. So I really sense that and try to use it to our advantage.
Oh, that's fantastic, Sue. You always, as I've said, do a great job if you take over someone's call, I mean, the energy is always good in there. And
Thanks.
sometimes only you can take over the situation and calm it down.
Well, I don't know if I did such a good job. The other night there was a woman on.
Yeah.
She was extremely anxious, and she said it like 10 times. She has extreme anxiety. And a few of us were trying to give her suggestions, but it wasn't like she wasn't hearing it because she was in her script. And that's really hard to break through. Somebody gets wrapped up in that particular way that they define themselves. It's really hard to break it. To help them, not that you just want to break them. You want to help them see it differently, and not keep saying, "I can't handle it, I can't handle it, I can't handle it." Yes, you can. There is something you can probably do right now that you weren't willing to do yesterday, but you can try it. Try some kind of shielding. Try some kind of thought modification. Try some kind of, take a walk in the park. Do something that will lift you out of that pit of depression and anxiety. Because we can't get through if we don't take a proactive stance and stay on it. Stay proactive every time. And it's exhausting, but it's the only way we can get through. It's the only way we can manage on a long-term basis.
She wasn't listening. She had been on the call the night before. I came in late on the conversation you're talking about.
Oh,
she
yeah.
wasn't listening. Like you said, she's very set in her self-image, as hypertensive, or what did she call it?
She said extreme anxiety. She kept using the two words. Yes.
I talked to her after.
It was a way of life. Go ahead. You did?
I talked to her after.
Oh, you did? Good.
Yeah.
Good. That's great.
I told her I'm not as calm as Sumaya, but she said, it was helpful. I said, I'm not as good as Sumaya, but...
Well, you sound pretty calm.
Yeah. No, but she was really upset, yeah. She was.
I know. And it's just, it just breaks our hearts because we're all sensitive. We can feel each other's feelings and what we're going through. A lot of us are empathic. I am. And it hurts me to hear somebody else hurting. It really physically hurts. So, I want to help them because we're connected.
Okay. Thank you very much, guys. I'm going to shut this down for the night, and we'll pick up again on Friday evening. And I just wanted to say I love you all very much. And this is Targeted Massachusetts Northeast Conference, signing off at 1 a.m. God bless.
God bless.
God bless you. Thank you.
Bye.